Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Here we go! Kiss me like a love star. So I'm a cowrie. Whoa, kimi ya kata omoi. Namida no shitsurei Give me fire, give me double chatters.
You're listening to the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Welcome to episode 54 of the Emerald Flow Show. We're a podcast on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. You can follow us on X at Emerald Flow Show and listen to us on all of your favorite podcast apps. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. And you can go to voicesofwrestling.com/donate to donate to us if you're feeling very generous. I'm back here. Paul is still in Japan, of course. And if you want to hear some of his perspective, John Carroll released a very special, very rare these days, Wrestling Omakase today about the Tokyo Dome show and the All Japan shows that they and Paul attended. So you can hear some of Paul's perspective because he got I could see him on my screen. He got a very close seat to Charlie Dempsey versus Katsuhiko Nakajima. And so if you want to hear about what like that was and like what the atmosphere in Yoyogi was for Nakajima's entrance, definitely check that out. But joining me for this episode once again, third time on the show, I believe, which is pretty sure is a record of our guests, although we haven't had that many guests, is Dylan Fox of the Eastern Lariat. Dylan, how are you doing?
Gerard, it's so great to be back. Third time is the charm, as some would say. But I like all of our episodes together. I always love talking to you about this wonderful world of wrestling. Wonderful and at times insane, as we'll probably get to a little bit as we get into it. But I'm ready to hit it up. Biggest time of the year in wrestling, especially Japanese pro wrestling, the start of the year and the end of the year as well last year. So we're in the new heights, doing big things, and hopefully everybody really enjoys the show we put together today.
Yeah, so just to start off, how do you feel coming out of this? I haven't watched Wrestle Kingdom yet, but obviously Wrestle Kingdom's over. There's still New Year's Dash, but the week or so has come to an end. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it for the most part. The Dome show wasn't perfect in my opinion. I won't get into spoilers. I know you haven't seen it yet. But I will say one thing I liked about this year, they were able to really end it and recapture the feeling of spectacle that I think was missing the last couple of years. I mean, everybody had a big entrance, it felt like. And the Okada entrance to me is like literally one of the greatest entrances I can remember seeing ever in wrestling. I thought it was spectacular from a production standpoint. Big step up for New Japan. All Japan, I mean, boy, we had so much to talk about, and we're going to talk about a lot of it now, but so many ups and downs, twists and turns, swerves and nobody knows what's going on. Everybody thinks they know, and then it's a totally different thing that comes out. People are leaving, coming and going. It's just crazy, man. And Noah is just they're always a very interesting company, let's just say. You could say quality wise, you can make your own judgments, but Noah will always give us something to talk about, and I think we have a lot of things to talk about on this show. So
Yes,
I'm feeling good about that.
we have a few things to talk about with Noah, that's for sure. So just really quick, gonna get this out of the way because I know you didn't get to see the show, Dylan, and I only watched the top two matches actually so far, and I wanted to go back and watch more, but I didn't. But I got to talk about the great version 7 on December 30th at Tokyo Dome City Hall, drawing 1,507 fans, which I don't know, that's just filling up Corkin Hall. I don't know if that's really that great a number, but by their standards, it's decent, I guess. But if you haven't seen it yet, you really need to go out of your way and watch Hayato Tamura versus T-Hawk for the G-Rex title. Tamura finally finishes the story after losing to T-Hawk in at the ill-fated Sumo Hall show, and it's just a great match. I mean, lots of big lariats, chops, and I thought T-Hawk. Well, I mean, I think they were both great here, but I think T-Hawk did a fantastic job with his selling and the way that he put Tamura over. It really feels like, well, Great's booking is obviously spotty, but it feels like the company could definitely turn a corner here. I know that there's still some issues and everything like that, but yeah, I felt a lot better about the company coming out of at least watching the main event and everything like that. So that's definitely worth checking out. And I also watched, of course, I had to, G Infinity Tag Team title match. Jun Saito and Rei Saito defeated Soma Watanabe and Yuya Susumu in 10:26 with a diving body press from Rei on Watanabe, which was a shocking ending to me. I can't believe they didn't just have Susumu take the pin. I mean, it was fine. I know, Dylan, you're not and neither of us on the show have been big Yuya Susumu fans over the years. Is that correct?
He's definitely not somebody I would consider one of my favorites. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So basically, this was obviously like, Soma and Yuya trying to outsmart and sort of counter and reversal the much larger Saitos. I'll give Susumu credit. There was a couple of spots towards the end where he got a surprise arm bar and that sort of thing. But it's nothing. I mean, like a 3-star match, 6 out of 10, whatever type thing. You don't have to go out of your way to see it, but it is the 9th defense for the Saito brothers, who are I think came out of this week looking pretty good, if you ask me, or even better. And more people are saying it, Dylan.
That's right. People are jumping on the Saito brothers train. People have been voting on the Eastern Lariat Awards right now, which is available on our Twitter at Eastern Lariat. Everybody vote for those. We need as many votes as possible. Please vote for them.
I'm going to do my ballot later today.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, Gerard. We always value your vote, of course. And the Saito brothers have gotten a lot of votes for most improved in our awards. So I am very happy to see them get some love here. I think they've continued to have a good run. Looking at this card is very interesting. I told you off the air, I'm a huge T-Hawk fan. I think he's a really underrated guy by some people. I think he's been a really good champion. And I mean, the number, that's about where Stardom was for the show like a few days later at the same venue in Tokyo Dome City Hall. And I think this is where they ran the one where it's T-Hawk and Soma, and you had it was like in July 1st or something. And I'm looking up right now. Yeah, see, so this show is a little bit up from that at least. So it's at least up from the last time they were here. Tamura is somebody I've always been a fan of as well. He's had it, since he was 20 years old, pretty much it felt like, when it, it's just a great guy. For 0-1, he was there right away. JTO, his start. Got a great look, great charisma, everything you want as a champion. He was the guy I thought they should build to eventually pass the torch. And I think they've done a pretty good job. I hope that my main issue with this whole company, really, but especially the champion, it goes back to when Lindemann was the champion, when he first won the title. I've never thought they've really done a good job of making the champion seem like the dude in the promotion, because you're constantly pulling guys out of the main event. You put like, a random New Japan match with Nagata or something on the top,
Yeah.
or a death match, or you're putting Lindemann in one of these leagues in New
Or
Japan. He's
you
like in
have your
eighth
champion
place.
lose to another company's champion.
Yeah, in T-Hawk's case, he lost directly to Nagata. In that case, he did get to the final of the Champion Carnival, which was good enough for me. Compare that to Lindemann in the Best
Yeah,
of Super Juniors,
for
was like
sure.
seventh place or something. So, they did all right in All Japan, and he did really good. I thought the match with Ashina was great. Match with Nagata was pretty good, like nothing super spectacular. But if you look at his matches, I thought the Ishida match is one of the more underrated matches of the year. The one where he won the title in April. I thought that was a fantastic
Mhm.
performance. Him and Soma had a really good match. The first match with him and Tamura was, probably the one thing that wasn't terrible on that the Sumo Hall show. Pretty much, it was like there was life to it at least. A lot of people thought, and I do too. I mean, especially now that we've seen it, why didn't they just put the title on him? But the same thing happened with Lindemann, remember? Where it was him and Ishida fought, and then he beat Ishida for no reason, and then they just went right back to Ishida a week later. So
Yeah,
again, we're seeing some growth at least. The last time they did this with a week gap, this time they at least did it with 4 months gap. So they're seeing improvements at least with how they've handled the title.
they're actually going to do the Royal Rumble gimmick for the title shot later in the show thing again later this month. But I think Tamara will survive that challenge this time, though.
Yeah. Who do you think it could be?
I don't know. You could put anyone in there. Uh,
That's the thing about this whole company. I mean, look at this show had Colt Cabana on it
yeah.
in the undercard. You could literally do anything with anybody, and it makes it kind of hard to connect with. Even though a lot of the times I actually think their wrestling is pretty good, and their shows are really easy to watch almost all the time. So it's a really weird company. They do some things I like, and there's definitely some things I don't like. But I do think there's good to be had, and maybe it can lead to a fun match. No matter who they pick, I mean, you look at their roster, you're probably going to get a pretty good match out of it. No matter who wins that Rumble.
Yeah, and I think this is their opportunity, especially because Tamara's coming off of big wins over or pinning like Miyahara and Suwama
Yep.
in the Real World Tag League. I think they have a chance to really finally make Tamara into a guy, unlike some of the issues with T-Hawk and especially Al Lindemann.
It's going to be interesting where T-Hawk goes from this because I don't know if how much you watch of DG, but Yoshioka had a great title reign like a year ago, where he was doing good things and it felt like he was growing as the champion. And then he lost it. And there was nothing wrong with him losing it when he did. It was fine. Um, but after he lost it, he really like got lost in the shuffle pretty much. Like really didn't do a lot. And Lindemann and Glade is like kind of similar, where he was having a lot of great matches as a champion, even though I don't like how they book them sometimes. But he was doing a lot of great things. And then this year came after he lost the title. His year has basically been a total wash. Like there's
Well,
nothing special
he
about it.
didn't look particularly interested most of his junior title reign in all
Yeah.
Japan.
But yeah, in All Japan, even in his home promotion, it's the same thing with Yoshioka. I feel like because when Yoshioka was in N1, it was like this guy is totally like coasting by, like there's nothing he's bringing to the table that's special. Lindemann, the same thing, and that's an opportunity, to get a title in All Japan. That's an opportunity. I get it. The junior title is not exactly the main division or anything like that, but it's a chance, and I don't think he did a lot. And it felt like you see these guys become the world champion. I am a fan of Yoshioka because I know some people didn't think that his title reign was that good, but I mean, compare him to Kakuta's title reign in DG, and I thought Yoshioka did a lot better. But regardless, you see these guys become the champion and they have these big title reigns, and then they drop it and then they fall off. Somebody like Tamura, he's got the belt. I think he's going to do great things, like you said. They've got a chance to make him a guy. T-Hawk, though, now without the belt, where's he going to go? Because let's remember, when Lindemann was champion, T-Hawk was the one that wasn't doing anything. I mean, his year last year was
Yeah.
basically nothing. And is that how it's going to go with him again? Or are they going to try and do a little bit better to keep some form of consistency within the promotion and how they book? I don't know.
Well, I mean, even with Shima, whose fingerprints are clearly over the booking, he couldn't necessarily find anything for his boys to do.
No, no, it's just a product of the promotion for whatever reason.
Yeah. Oh, and Kaz Hayashi is going to be retiring.
Ah, man, he's an underrated guy, man. Like I
Absolutely.
said, yeah, I only know him as Glacier 2, actually, back in WCW.
Well, he was responsible for the very underrated All Japan Junior Renaissance of the mid to
Yeah,
2000s.
absolutely. Yeah, he was the guy with that. I mean, he was one of the big beneficiaries of the Muto run as like the owner of All Japan, where he was, doing big things in the booking. He formed multiple tag teams. He won the Real World Tag League with Satoshi Kojima, when Kojima was really on the rise. Had a great junior run, and as the booker, he really orchestrated so many great moments through for multiple champions, whether it was him. Everybody always point to Omega, Shuji Kondo and stuff, and he
Nakajima.
was a yeah, Nakajima as well. Yeah, so in the old days, the pre Inokiism Nakajima, that was in All Japan. He's another guy. He really worked. I know for a fact that he busted his ass in Wrestle One after Muto abandoned everybody. The
Yeah.
last couple of years of Wrestle One, he really was the glue that kept that thing afloat because that thing could have gone down years before it did. But he was the one that was really making things happen. He's got a great mind for the business by all intents and purposes, and a really, really good worker. Never gets his due. Team 246 is a great tag team too. Um, and that's something I love too. They're a case of a team that were best friends in real life and also like became like a great tag team in the ring. You saw that like Zeus and Bodyguard when they
Yeah.
were a team. Ran the gym together, but were also great partners in the ring. Nagata and Akanishi was another one. And so you get these real life friend teams. I always loved them. So Kazuhashi, I really like that guy a lot. Never really got his roses, but has had a long, steady career and looks like it's time for him to move on, but I'm sure he'll still be around in the company as like a behind the scenes dude.
Yeah, I'm sure well, I mean, his input would be more welcome than Shima.
Well, yeah,
So,
Shima. Well, Shima though he's got the politicking boost that I don't think Hayashi may not be able to match him with.
no, I
But
don't think so.
I don't think many people can match Shima in that game.
No.
It's very rare someone can score a seven-figure deal out of a fledgling company, but he is one that can claim that he has.
And yet still somehow someone convinced him to allow Anzai to pin him.
Listen, you can't. Nobody can deny Anzai's talent. Okay, even him, he knows that a legend is here, and he wants to be on the ground floor and say, "Yep, beating me was the step that turned it around for him, that made him make the jump to being who he is."
All right, so that's great. And so we move on to Noah the New Year at Ariake Arena. That was on January 2nd. And they drew 5,135 fans, which I mean is up for Noah, especially post Muto retirement. But you got to sort of think that Ibushi versus Marufuji should have drew more, right?
You know, it's hard to argue, and somewhat similar to the Wrestle Kingdom number, where it's hard to spin this. You've done basically half as many people this year as you did 1 year ago, for the same show. Obviously, a different building in Ariake this year, but the fact remains you did half as many people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you can call this show a success, but it could have been a lot worse as well when you look at a lot of their numbers heading into the show.
Yeah.
I personally was expecting lower, in all honesty. I thought this could easily dip below 4,000 to get back to where they were. The last time they ran the show was 2022. It was during the Muto build-up to last year's New Year's show. It was like October, and they did 3,700 fans. I was thinking it might get down to around there, but they were able to get it to 5K. I think it's pretty good. It's not great in the context of it comparing it to last year, but in the context of Noah right now and where they're at, I wouldn't say it was a bad number. It could have been a lot worse. I wouldn't say it's a big success though either. I just think that this was about as good as you could hope for and skate by. Although the main event may not be as good as anybody had hoped for.
Mm-hmm. So to start off, we had Taishi Ozawa defeating Yu Owada in 524 with the Japanese leg Will clutch hold. Big moment for Owada. This is his first pinfall victory over Ozawa, I believe. So they're sort of trying to level up the rookies. I mean, I thought this was very solid, and I mean, I'm still think that Ozawa could be something, and he is the guy.
Yeah.
But now it's like giving him a little rival in the opening matches where you don't know how it's going to go is fine.
Yeah, well done. Very short, basic rookie match, but I'm with you. I like Ozawa. I think he's a guy that definitely has a lot of potential. In Noah, it's hard to tell because, there's guys that just linger on, pretty much forever, it seems like in the undercard.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like we'll be having the same conversation 5 years from now about Ozawa in these openers and Owada as well. But like you said, it gave him a nice little, spice up these opening matches pretty much. And I like Ozawa a lot. I think that guy's got a lot of upside. Like really good. I think he carries himself well. His performance is really good, and he works a unique style for. He kind of brings in a lot of the junior-ishy ways of the Noah heavyweights, but has more size to him. So I'd like to see what he could do. But I think we'll be waiting for a while.
And then in the other dark match, Muhammad Yone, Atsushi Kotoge, Super Crazy, and Teriyaki defeated Daiki Inaba, Hajime Ohara, Hiroki, and Kai Fujimura in 7:22 with the moonsault press from Kotoge on Fujimura. I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah, set up the angle later,
Yeah.
like Kote getting the win.
Yeah.
I mentioned this. I did a Patreon review for the show on the patreon.com/Eastern Lariat. And I mentioned I don't like the moonsault as Kotake's finisher. I don't. There's nothing wrong with how he does it. I just think the kill switch and stuff is a better move. I guess they're trying to make him like more juniory and stuff by doing that. But I always associate him with that and the headbutts and things like that in his moonset. I hope he brings that back now that they're doing the faction. Fujimura, another one of those young guys I talked about that'll be forever in purgatory.
Well, he's a junior, so they might do something with him.
Yeah, we've been saying that for so long
That's
now.
true too.
On there, and I mean, even Alejandro, like the only way he could get over is in Dragon Gate, or
Yeah.
get pushed is in Dragon Gate. So, yeah, and Fujimura very talented. Teriyaki, I think, has done a good job
Oh,
in this tour.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, very impressed. A guy I didn't know a whole hell of a lot about when he came in, but man, got great fire. You could tell he loves being here in Japan. Sees it as a big opportunity. He's really made the most of it. Even though it was a smaller match, you're still in a really good venue, a historic area for Noah. It's not Differ, obviously, which is the original home of Noah, but still, like it's in Ariake. They're doing things there. It's a big show, their biggest of the year. Good spot for Teriyaki. And Kotige is one of my favorites in Noah, although he hasn't done a lot lately. We'll talk about more about him later.
And then to start the show officially for the GHC junior heavyweight tag team title in the three-way match, Yohei and Tadasuke defeated Dragonbane and Alpha Wolf and Ninja Mac and Alejandro. It was an elimination match, although nobody told the production team.
Yeah. Or
'Cause
the
they played-
ref, it seemed like.
Yeah, they played the music after the first elimination. And anyway, so Yohei eliminated Ninja Mac with a crucifix hold at 8:48, and then Yohei eliminated Alpha Wolf with like a missed kick at 12:24. I mean, apart from the little miscommunication, I mean, this was like, go match to start the show. I would put a match like this in this spot. It was good, not, super great or anything because you had a little snafu. I was a little surprised with the result. I think they should have just kept them on Dragonbane and Alpha Wolf in all. And I like Yohei and Tadasuke, but I think this they were bringing something different to the junior tag division, which needed something and could have used a longer reign from them, if you ask me.
Well, like you and Paul say on the show, the only problem with them is that I wish they would wrestle in matches without the other one in them.
Yeah.
Maybe this will open the door for that. But I do agree with you ultimately. I really like their run. I thought this is the worst match of their title reign, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly. And it was still all right. Like you said, like a 3-star type of match, really. Like, it would have been better without the mess up. And then, like, the ending part between the Yohei and Tadasuke and Bane and Wolf, it was short. they only gave him like 2 minutes or something after that. It felt like, and I thought they could have done a lot more with each other to make it more exciting. But I will say that's a conversation me and Striga had on the Lariat. Was he was saying how he thought that some matches wouldn't get as much time. If you look at this show, pretty much every match, especially once we get to the singles matches, they all got a pretty decent amount of time. I thought they spaced the show out pretty well until the main event, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think everybody got a decent amount of time. I just didn't like that they did this with a junior match. I wish they would have gotten more time together at the end. But they did a thing. Tadasuke had new gear here. They look good. I like them as a yeah. It looks Tadasuke has never been a fashionista when it comes to wrestling. I don't think anyone would claim him as winning any kind of best attire award.
But that's part of his charm.
Yeah, exactly. He's this weird guy, but like you said, a charming weird about him. But yeah, they're a good team. We'll see what they do with it. And it's still though. The only thing that I want, I will take all of these teams fighting each other forever, as long as there's no more Stinger tag teams involved or anything like that.
Sure. Yeah, that's the main thing, I think. And they still seem to be nowhere near that for now, anyway.
Yeah, for now.
Next up, international sensation match. Jake Lee, Jack Morris, and Anthony Green defeated El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Vinny Massaro, and Titus Alexander in 9:44 when Green pinned Massaro with the M83. I enjoyed this match. I think it set out to do a couple of things. And you brought up a good point on your show. Like, you probably should have given a bigger stage for Jack Morris on this show.
Yeah.
But I think that also at the same time that he's run into the sort of, we got to space everything out. But I thought him and Titus Alexander looked good here. I thought you said Jake Lee looked good here, but for some reason I don't barely remember anything Jake did in this match.
No, okay. When I said he looked good, I meant he literally looked good. I mean, you want to talk about new attire? I love this. Now, when he first came out with the hat, we all laughed at him because it was so stupid, of course. But now he's gone so over the top with it, with the cane, the monocle. He's basically gone full penguin from Batman.
Yeah,
right
someone
now.
compared him to Mr. Peanut.
Yeah, yes, exactly. He's gone so far ridiculous with it. How can you not love this? It's like we're laughing with him now. I'm all in on this insane whatever he's trying to do. I have no idea what's going through. Who knows what's going through that head of Jake Lee. But I've always liked him as a wrestler. His title reign, I think everybody respected well enough. Even you, Jake Lee disrespector in the past. I think everybody.
I'll get to something later to put over Jake, but we'll see what happens afterwards.
I love the look though. I think it's awesome. It's not I wouldn't put the title on him like this, but for a mid card guy, I mean I love it. I think it's awesome.
A little surprised they don't have any direction for Wagner, considering he re-signed with the company, which is at least a good sign for Noah. You didn't want to have sort of like the people leaving type thing. And I'm really looking forward to Morris versus Titus Alexander, because Alexander's just really impressed on those Monday Magics and everything. So that's going to be a big spot for him. Obviously, I think Morris is going to retain because, Titus is only here for, I don't know how long, but it's just through the Marvelous and West Coast Pro connection and everything like that. But that's going to be a really important match, I think, for him. If he does want to stay with Noah longer term, or at least wrestle in Japan, I think that will be something that can help put him on the map. So in terms of getting some things accomplished, I have to give thumbs up to this match for that.
Yeah, I stand by what I said. I think if you're going to put 2 belts on a guy and then you don't have anything for him really for the biggest show of the year, why do it then? And it's nothing against him. Like I think we all respect him well enough. A fine talent. It's just you're gonna double him up. Okay, you want to push a guy? I'm into it. I like it. I think it's good to push mid carders and give them stuff like that. But then you don't go all the way with it. You give him these belts and then don't give him an actual match on the show. I just didn't like that part at all. But he's fine, and the match was pretty good. I like the good-looking guys as a crew as well, so I think it works out. All in all, I hope that they can do more. Or really, I think they should just get one of the belts off of Jack, whether it's the tag or the national title. Either one of those, he could be a champion. I just think double champion. If you're not going to push him, then why not? Like on your biggest show, why not just give it that spot to somebody else?
Well, look, if I had a choice, I would get those tag titles off of them and back into Inaba and
Yeah,
Kitamiya and Morris.
totally.
I think Morris should benefit though from the national title. I think he would be good there.
And Titus is good too. Totally agree
Yeah.
with your points on that. That should be a good match.
Yeah. Next up, Noah versus New Japan. Tomohiro Ishii defeated Masa Kitamiya in 1504 with the vertical drop brainbuster. I mean, it delivered. I mean, you expected. I mean, it was only the third match on the card and everything like that, but obviously, they went out there, beat the crap out of each other. Kitamiya bled from the headbutt. This was the match of the show. I mean, really, to me.
Yeah, two guys who were really fiery.
Yeah.
And like you knew what this match was going to be. And like two guys who hit hard and they're going to hit each other hard until one of them can't get up anymore. And that's basically what happened here. And for me, I completely expected Ishii to win this, even though it was that's a little bit of a different role.
For sure.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to have him lose out.
Especially because I expected the next match to go the way they did too.
Yeah, exactly. Like they weren't gonna have everybody go over like that. So, and the match later as well. Although, yeah. So I knew they weren't gonna have everybody win, and this was the easiest one to give Ishii a win over Masa. But it was a good. They had great fiery interactions even before, earlier in the year, or like last year technically, to build up to this. And I'm glad that they did the match. It was a banger, like legit. It wasn't like, to me, this didn't reach like the match of the year level some Ishii matches have. But for these two, I thought this was like, oh, okay, this like we knew this was gonna be great, and it met expectations. I wouldn't say it exceeded them, but it definitely met them. I
mean,
say.
Kitamiya sometimes doesn't always live up in singles matches to what you.
I made that point before too. It's like point to his best match last year, like singles match.
I can't even. Last year wasn't a cage match. No.
No, the cage match was a couple of years ago. That was great. He showed up again for this match as well. But you're not looking at a lot of stuff where you're pointing like, oh yeah, that was him erupting. A great tag team. Love him and Inaba as a tag team. But Kitamiya, I said this too. The one thing I liked about this show is it set up starting points for everybody for this year. And for Masa, I don't want this to be the peak, even though it was a great match. And with Ishii, you're going to get something great with him. But I don't want this to be the peak for Masa. I want this to be the stepping stone. He takes a step here, and by the end of the year, we see even better matches, and maybe he can get to that potential you mentioned.
Well, I have a question for you, Dylan. I know that there's a lot of turmoil going on in a certain other company, but if they manage to stabilize things, given who seems to have a lot of influence in that company right now, two of the wrestlers, do you think he leaves Noah?
You read my mind, Gerard. TNA has needed a free agent, and you knew exactly who they were going to call here. But no. With Noah, obviously, I think Nakajima leaving kind of threw everybody through a loop a little bit. It's like, okay, it seems like the whole company's like on shaky ground suddenly. And I understand that, but I don't particularly think there's going to be this huge walkout of guys from Noah.
No, but I just mean specifically him.
Well, obviously he has history with Nakajima at the end of the day. If they wanted to go that route, see him. It's just financially, I just wonder, like, I think that was a very bold move, and we'll talk about Nakajima later. But it's not something I expect, to say the least. Even with Masa, where he would go, I think he's probably going to stay in Noah, honestly. But maybe you never know. Like nobody thought Nakajima was going to leave when he did, and again, that's why it was so shocking. I think kind of shook everybody a little bit because nobody expected it to happen. And with Masa, if he wanted to leave, I mean, how? Like, he's been here for so long now and kind of always in the same spot, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he's had that cage match was basically his biggest moment in Noah, and it never really went anywhere beyond that, like afterwards. I think he's kind of reached his spot on the card. Great tag worker, can be that mid card power guy. But look, you would have said that same thing about Soya last year. I
Yeah.
think those guys were like in a very similar spot. This past year, Soya really stepped up and worked himself into a main event spot on New Year, although it wasn't in the actual main event, but a title match anyway. There's no reason Kitamiya can't do the same thing. It just takes some things falling his way. So, especially seeing Soya this year, I definitely think he would want to stick it out and see if he can reach those same heights that Soya did.
That's a good point too. There's like, I would say that if you sort of take the main event out of the equation on this show, and I said this on the last episode that I recorded myself, I think that who knows how much the stink of the main event is going to leave, but I thought that we had hit the absolute like bottom of Noah, and it's only sort of up from here. And obviously, I think that there's opportunities to be had for a guy like Kitamiya.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this show, the main event, unfortunately, we'll talk about it more in depth, but I do think that kind of overshadowed everything. And I kind of pointed it out on my Twitter that, like, hey, there was actually some good stuff done on this show for setting up for the future. Because I think a lot of different guys got a little bit of a chance. Again, a starting point, a stepping stone moment here. And I think a lot of guys got it, but he's definitely one. Had a great match and proved that he could do that in the singles ranks. Let's see where they go with him from here.
Mm-hmm. The next up, in another Noah versus New Japan match, Go Shiozaki defeated Satoshi Kojima in 13:56 with the Go-On Lariat. I mean, it was good. I don't want to overstate this, but Go's showing his age / the injuries catching up with him. Kojima remains timeless in a lot of ways. So this was a lot of fun, like great finishing last few minutes, just a big lariats from each guy before, Shiozaki sort of powered through and got the win. But coming after and possibly coming after the previous match, these two were never gonna, I don't think, meet that. So, I mean, it was still like a nice little match. I mean, these guys would have to be in absolutely horrible shape to have a bad match with each other and everything like that. I don't know how you felt, Dylan.
No, I feel the exact same way. I totally agree. I think this match would have came across better if it had been before the Ishii and Kitamiya match. But they still did good. This is an easy match for these guys to have, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like perfect aesthetic comparisons. The cozy lariat versus the go-on lariat. The battle of the chops. Both guys left their companies for All Japan at one point, and then came back as well. So they have like a lot of like synchronicity between them, and I think they work the same way as well. Definitely agree with what you said. Go is not where he was a couple of years ago, but still, like for a mid card match, I thought this was perfectly enjoyable. Again, that 3-star like type of range, 3.25 maybe. And I think it would have been it would have seemed a little bit better if it came earlier, but still decent match, good showing for the vets here, and Go finally got his win back from Cyber Fight Fest.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty obvious. And then we had Muhammad Yone, Atsushi Katoge. Who else is in that unit?
Saito and Hiroki.
Yes.
Akitoshi Saito.
Yeah, Akitoshi, who got off from commentary to come in, and they put on their Team Noah shirts. Katoge is like the youngest guy in that unit at 38 years
old. Yes. What a weird group of people here.
So going back to Go's condition, I think that they realize that and they're cycling him down. And this is just giving something for him to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is like mid-card at best group of people here. And again, Kotoge is like my favorite guy. Hey, him and Go were a great tag team during their run in 2018. I said it before, I'll say it again. At one point, Kotoge was like the most over person in Noah in a main eventer and was tag team champions with Go. And it was like 5 years ago. It wasn't like a million years ago. But then things went a little crazy with the cape. And now he's back as a junior. I wish that they would let Kotoge and Go team together again and get some dynamic. Give Kotoge some motivation because I think he doesn't really have it right now. It hasn't had it in a long time.
He hasn't had it, especially since Harada retired.
Totally agree. And that was one of the more memorable moments of last year, in my opinion, was Harada's retirement match, like the 1 minute match they had.
Hmm.
Unbelievable thing there. But like you said, he just hasn't had anything to do, no motivation. And the other guys are all like completely superfluous, in my opinion. Like, and Hiroki's all right, like a pretty good worker, but it's not like these guys are meaningful guys to the story of the company, nor do
No.
I think they represent what a team Noah should, in my opinion. With Go, it makes sense, yes, but is this really like is this the new like home team kind of? Couldn't they have gotten somebody a little better like on the team pretty much than Funky Express?
Yeah, I don't know, but it is what it is.
What about Kaito? Like, shouldn't he be involved in this
He,
somehow? I've been
yeah, yeah. Well,
screaming
he's
for
got
that
his
for
own
years.
things, but we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that later.
So next up was the Great Sakuya Advent. Haruka Umasaki and Miyuki Takase defeated Great Sakuya and Nagisa Nozaki in 1346 when Sakuya was disqualified. We need to have a talk about who had the worst Joshi Great Muda tribute match. Actually, this one was better than the All Japan one, but that's not saying much at all.
Let me tell you something, Gerard. This match was straight cheeks, in my opinion. Like they couldn't do anything right. It felt like, and the stuff with the chair was like so dumb. The finish sucked. Everybody sucked in this match, and it's a shame because they're actually talented.
Oh
Like
yeah,
all four of these. Kawahata is like one of my favorite indie Joshi wrestlers,
very
and they've
unfair to
given her.
her getting saddled with this, but it's probably a decent payday. I can't totally blame her.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish the fans, I mean, we saw it with the actress girls in All Japan. Although the second time they came in, they responded a little bit better. But the
Yes.
first match they had with all the actress girls, and then this match here with Noah, um, like it was like the fans kind of actively rejected it. It felt like we don't want this on our show. And I was talking to somebody from Japan, an actual Japanese person, and I asked her about this match, and she told me literally straight up, I don't care at all about this cosplay girl. Was basically her thing on the Great Sakuya. And I mean, this is a deal. It felt like this is an indictment on Monday Magic's popularity because if you
Yes.
watch those shows, they've actually been building this up forever. Like it
Yeah.
felt like pretty
And
much
they've
every
had
Monday
good
Magic.
Joshi matches on Monday Magic.
Yeah, and Monday Magic's a good show.
It is.
But like this crowd had no clue about any of that. It felt like going in there and it was just like, oh, when will this end? And I was feeling that myself when they messed up the chair spot so bad. But tough spot for everybody involved. I hope for the best for all of them. Love seeing them, especially Nozaki, who's like had a long career. She's a vet. The others are still relatively new and young and all of that stuff. But this is a good chance. Like she was in Wave forever, and now she's doing this Noah thing. Kawahata's got a great future ahead of her. Luminous is a great tag team, but you won't get any of that in this match. And hopefully, this is like a sign to go back to the drawing board. But I don't think they will. I think this is going to be a regularly recurring feature. This great
Well,
Sakuya.
it's funny because Muto looked completely uninterested about any of this on commentary. But I mean,
Wrestle one all over again.
but it will be up to him whether I would assume if he wants to cut bait on this, he can. That will happen, but he probably wants us to go continue.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, but maybe we'll get lucky. One of these days
I mean,
we'll
this
win
should have
one.
just been Sakuya probably squashing someone with some fancy moves.
Yeah, I mean this is our latest Great Kabuki tribute gimmick that we have. So you knew that she couldn't be a normal wrestler. She had to be wild and crazy and the mist and the chair and all this crazy stuff. So you knew that's probably how that was gonna go. But I do agree. Ideally, this would have been a quick match with somebody. You could pull anybody out really of the Joshi Indies. Just put her in there. Let Sakuya look strong, hit the mist, do her thing. But this was an utter failure in my opinion of an introduction.
Yeah, not good. Then, but it's in better debut news. We had the Alka Sasaki Pro Wrestling debut, Road to Pro Wrestler. Takashi Sugiura defeated Alka Sasaki in 11:02 with the Olympic Slam. Hey, I thought this was a good debut for Sasaki. I said before, He's only 34 years old. He's in shape. He looks good. If there's something there, given where Noah is in terms of young talent, you got to go with him. And Sugiura was the perfect guy to put him in against. A little slow to start, but the last couple of minutes were pretty good, and I thought it accomplished. Making Sasaki look like someone that is a pro wrestler. I mean, he even did a stunner at one point, didn't he?
And that's what I was going to say that really stood out to me. This isn't just some dude they paid off to come in here.
Yeah,
This is a guy who likes wrestling
and loves
wants
Noah.
to be. Yeah, and loves Noah. He wants to make this work, and he's booked again later in the month as well. So
Yeah.
if this is a guy that's going to stick around, I definitely liked what I saw for a first ever match. Obviously, Sugiura is like, it's going to be really hard to screw it up, at that point. Like, you have to
Yeah.
basically actively suck.
Yeah,
To do
I mean,
that.
if all else fails, Segura just beats the crap out of you.
Exactly. Like that's how, and you end up having a really good match by the end of it. But he didn't mess up. They got it together and had a pretty good match. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the greatest match ever or anything, but I would recommend it personally, like a 3.5, 7 out of 10 type of match.
Yep.
It's maybe 3.75 if you're
Yep.
generous. But I liked what I saw, and again, much like I said about Kitamiya, I don't want this to be the peak for Sasaki. I
No.
want this to be the start, and by
Yeah.
the end of the year, we see him having some really strong matches that eclipse this. So, and I think he has every bit of potential to do that.
The only sort of question mark I have is that if he was willing to work more shows, I think he could develop faster, is my only sort of like concern, I suppose, depending on how far you want to go with him.
Yeah,
He's not going to be doing like Yokohama Radiant Hall shows, I don't think.
probably not. I would say, but I do like that they've already given him kind of a story
Mhm.
with with Sugiura as his mentor. Kind of like they kind of hugged it out after the match, and he helped him backstage. They're doing a tag team little run here, it looks like. So I love that idea. Put these two as a tag team, maybe help him grow that way rather than singles matches, and maybe we'll see where he's at 6 or 7 months from now, and if he's feeling spry enough and is like, hey, put me in that N1, maybe we'll see more then. But I like the idea of them as a tag team for now.
Yeah, for
Protect them a
sure.
little bit, let them grow naturally, and I think they could have. And as a fan, I think they could have some great matches together with these two as a team.
Yep, definitely. So that's a bright spot in Noah right now. I got to give him credit for that. And the next
Absolutely.
up, yeah, because there's not that many, but I do think that we're moving in a mostly positive direction somewhat. Next up, Wrestling Symphony. Zack Sabre Jr. and Yoshinori Ogawa defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi and Hayata in 1736 with the orienteering with Napalm Death from Sabre on Hayata. I mean, considering that this was just a Road to Wrestle Kingdom match, you probably could have cut a couple of minutes off. But I mean, I always love seeing Sabre and Ogawa. I enjoyed Tanahashi and Sabre working together, and Hayata was perfectly inoffensive in this. When you put him in with a bunch of great wrestlers, that usually happens. He becomes inoffensive. So it was good, not great.
Yeah, Zach brought in the technical work. Tanahashi brought a great charisma about him. Hayata did all right selling. Like he wasn't bad. I don't think he like tanked the match or anything. I definitely think it went too long, and I wish they had cut some time off of it. I didn't think there was any reason for it to go this long. But like you said, Zach and Ogawa, a legacy team for Noah. I remember them in the junior tag division, all those years ago. And getting to do it again was probably cool for them. Tanahashi on the card is never a bad thing to have. Why he was teamed with Hayata, I don't know. Just nothing, like not even
Because
criticizing Hayata's
Hayata
work.
didn't have a match, and he's still considered a top guy.
He's Hayata, so he must be in a top match, according to Noah. But it's fine. Like it was a fine match. Like nothing wrong with it. But again, this isn't anything I like. Nobody will remember this in a week probably if they do it now.
Yep. And then from there, we had the GSC Junior Heavyweight title. Daga defeated Ada in 13 minutes with the Diablo Wings, which I thought was a surprising result. Because I thought Ada was going to win here, and I guess we had incorrectly assumed that Daga was going to go focus on Ring of Honor because he had been there. But it looks like he's focusing on Noah. I mean, I think this was the proper length. This didn't need to go 20 minutes. It was perfectly fine. I thought maybe there was a chance that it could be better if Ada was like going to win and he was going to be motivated to put something on. But like, I don't think Dog has been horrible or anything, but just like a 3-star or a 6 to 7 out of 10 topping out guy, really.
I thought Ada started the match really hot, but then that
Yeah.
went away pretty quick early on. Didn't Daga just win the title? Though that would have been a quick flip.
Yeah,
if they
and
had done it.
he defended against Kondo.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know. Neither of these guys do a lot for me, but I honestly thought this match was a little better than I expected, and maybe it's a result of my low expectations. But I would take this over most of the Hayata title defenses, in all honesty, that we saw last year. I thought it was...
it went 13 minutes, whereas the Hayata title defenses much longer.
Good point. But nevertheless, whatever reasons you want to say, I think this was a step in the right direction. Again, a starting point. If this is the peak, then you failed. But if you can build upon this and have better matches in the future, maybe there's hope for this division yet, which there hasn't been in a long time.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see where that goes. I don't really see anyone waiting in the wings to take it off of Daga unless it just becomes Hayata again, which is always the threat. And then so we go to Noah and New Japan versus House of Torture. Kaito Kiyomiya, Shota Umino, Ryohei Oiwa, Daiki Inaba, Shuji Kano, Junta Miyawaki defeated Evil, Ren Narita, Yujiro Takahashi, Sho, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Dick Togo. Basically, coming down to the last men. And look, I'm going to preface this by saying that I think this is the best thing that I've ever seen House of Torture in. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought what they're doing is the House of Torture shtick isn't as bad in this because it's not like they're interrupting a big singles match or anything. And it was the right result with Kiyomiya surviving. He got a lot of heat. And this is the sort of thing you got to do, as far as I'm concerned, to start building Kiyomiya back up.
I thought that I agree with you that this is much better than most like the House of Torture style matches. I liked how they were talking about a commentary like the refs on the take, like pretty much because they were like there was so much House of Torture stuff basically right in front of the referee. They didn't even try to like there was no effort to hide this at all. It was just they just did it and that was how it went, and it was all kinds of cheating nonsense. And Kaito got a win, albeit in the most ass way possible. And I would have bet all my money on how the Dome match was going to go after that, and would have won. There was no chance that Kaito's team was going to win at the Dome after this, and that's how it played out. So
no, but at least the results of the Dome was like the most obvious result, and at least he didn't eat the pin.
Well, when it comes to Kaito, you got to take small victories sometimes. And I guess that is one. Yeah, that in the end he didn't win. It was Umino that took the fall.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Small victories for Kaito right now, but it was fun for what it was. It wasn't a great match, but it was a spectacle enough that it worked out for what they wanted it to.
New Kaito gear, yay or nay?
Better than the one before, but I think his original look will always be the best.
Yeah, he should go back to the Misawa tribute.
Yeah, I think this is better than what he was doing before, but only slightly.
And then the first of the double main events for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. Kento defeated Manabu Soya in 28 minutes and 36 seconds with a Kento special to make his first defense of the title. I mean, this was pretty great. I thought it sort of dragged in the middle, but the last few minutes were exactly what you would expect from these two guys. Just bombs, and then Kento sort of having to pull out the Kento special to win.
Which he kind of flubbed.
Yeah, but again, I don't think it sort of detracted too much from the match and everything like that. This is what I
No, no.
expected. This is a long singles match for Soya too. How many matches does he have that ever go 28 minutes? So maybe I
Yeah.
think some of the heat segments in the middle were a little whatever, but still, I mean, I have no problem going like 4 stars, 4.25 on this. It was really great and is absolutely worth your time and everything. And I think they wanted to obviously send a message, and they sort of did with this and everything. And I think that this puts Keno off to a good start in 2024.
I thought Soya was really great in this match, and he did a wonderful job throughout. He was doing all kinds of moves. He hit some dives here in this match that you wouldn't have expected from him. He really wanted to pull all the stops out here, and like you said, try to prove himself. And both of them probably did a little bit. I actually thought Soya was the stronger performer of the two, even compared to Keno. But they both did good. This was probably my favorite overall match of the night, but only slightly above the Ishii and Kitamiya match. I would have that at 4. This would be like 4.25, pretty much. But really great stuff. Well worth watching. I think whatever if this was some kind of test for Soya, he definitely passed it. I also really liked the pre-match video a little bit. I thought they did a great job telling their story, and it goes to show that there was stuff here between these two that you could have had a great main event for it. They didn't get here it didn't come together as well as it should have. And I think a lot of people would have been a lot less negative on Soya in the title match in there. And I think if they had gotten there and built it a lot better, they could have done a lot better, because there were a lot of points in the story they told that was really good. I thought the hype video was really well done. Soya was great in the match, and Keno is always a great champion, always doing great stuff for the company and for himself. I thought he was a little less so than Soya here, but still great. Well worth going out of your way. And I mean, anything would have been better than the main event. I would think almost literally anything in the history of wrestling, according to Cage Match.
Yeah,
But
and then after the match, Go Shiozaki came out to challenge, and then Keno said no, but which is interesting because he always accepts challenges. But it turns out that he demanded that Shiozaki put the "I am Noah" catchphrase on the line in their match, and that's going to happen on January 13th at Korakuen Hall. And I think it's kind of obvious where that's going.
well, that's gonna wreck this new stable that he's come up with. I think it's a little bad time to call yourself Team Noah if you lose.
Yeah, and I think it's also a big sign of what's going to happen to Go on the card in 2024.
He's gonna win the title and main event.
No, he's going to be in opening matches with Team Noah.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can completely write it off, but
No.
yeah, yeah, but that you're probably right.
It would be very foolish to end this now. I mean, Keno is the foundation of this company right now,
Absolutely. He's like the glue of the company.
and really has been since Kiyomiya
Yeah.
last year, I suppose. And then I'm not going to spend too much on this main event because it's been talked about to death in it's 48 hours since it happened. But obviously, Kota Ibushi defeated Naomichi Marufuji in 33-26 with the Kamigoye. Ibushi was probably in no condition to be in this match at the beginning, and his ankle injuries were only aggravated. And it was I don't know. I don't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen, but it was obviously like very, very bad, and everything like that. And yeah, I mean, I feel really bad for the guy, actually. I really do. Marufuji tried, and I actually think the match structure here was not terrible. It's just a question of how Ibushi could have pulled it off, and just the whole post-match thing. Like, do you think Kiyomiya and Jake were sent out were they meant to come out, or were they sent out after everyone saw what happened?
Yeah, try to make something of it.
Yeah.
I could see it, I guess. I didn't like it. I thought for a guy who, had this terrible injuries, you knew something was wrong. He couldn't even stand by the end. He's like crawling up the ramp basically, and it's like, man, you're gonna have him go out this way. This guy you sent here to be your top star. I thought it was bad optics, to say the least.
Absolutely.
The match, I mean, when I looked it up, it's like this match was right around the level of like Heroes of Wrestling, like Jake the Snake,
Mhm.
and all of that. That stuff was worse than this. But all things considered, when you look at its main event status and what it means to the company, main eventing your biggest show of the year, to go so horribly wrong, and just the vibes were so bad,
Mhm.
with Ibushi. Just seeing it was sad. It wasn't even like a terrible match we could laugh about or talk about how bad it was. It was like literally sad. And I gave a very heartfelt speech on this on the Patreon, so I won't repeat it all here, but I'll just say that it's clear to me that Ibushi loves this so much that he can't let it go,
Mhm.
and I feel for him. I can relate to him on a personal level, and I know how it feels to have your body fail you, even when your heart is still the same. But I think that should be on other people now at this point, especially after seeing this. This main event was indefensible on so many levels, and I felt bad for Ibushi. Marufuji, like you said, he tried his best here. I've never had any negative on Marufuji. I thought he did as good of a job as you expect in the circumstances, but it just turned out all bad, and it was a match that got a negative response basically right away
Mhm.
when it was announced, being in the main event and all, and then it really got a negative response afterwards,
I
and
know.
it's something that, yeah,
After Ibushi flubbed a move, Paul just left.
he just walked out of the building.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Couldn't
smart,
watch to finish it and everything like that.
smart move.
And the look on Marufuji's face after the match was like, "What the fuck was that?" Uh,
He definitely wasn't. I don't think going backstage there were high fives all around or anything like that. There wasn't anything like that
um,
going on after this one.
if you want a positive coming out of this, Jake looked great on that post-match promo with a lot of fire. And I spoke to someone that speaks Japanese, and he said he cut a really good promo, one of his best.
Yeah, and that's so. I mean, you needed something,
I think
at
the
that
trick to
point.
Jake
Yeah,
is you need to like motivate him more.
maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like I said, I've always liked Jake more than you, I think, and I like this title reign, and I like the goofiness of his gimmick, but then that was like a legit good thing with the promo at the end. I hope that they weren't trying to set up an angle or something like out of that, like with Ibushi versus Jake going forward. I think Ibushi. I'm not gonna sit here and say he needs to retire and we never see him again. Uh, but I do think main event singles matches, the last matches he's had,
Yeah.
most of them have all ended in injuries, and two of them pretty very serious ones. And he's a guy, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he needs to rest up," but I mean, he really hasn't wrestled that much in 2 years now,
No.
and this is still what we're getting. I hope the best for that brother because he used to be one of the best in the world, and that helps exacerbate these feelings that we have of it being so sad. And I hope that for him, he gets the best he can do, comes back with a good mind. I'm sure mentally, physically, we know he's hurting. Two broken ankles is a terrible thing for anybody to go through. But I think mentally, this guy has been through the ringer over the last couple of years. Um, all that stuff with New Japan, how he left was just infamous and how it happened. All that went behind that. And then everything he's done since, you get all these negative reactions. I mean, how many, explanations did the president Takeda have to give for this being in the main event
Yeah.
before we got here? And Ibushi, he strikes me as a guy I've always thought because a lot of people like kind of peg him as this crazy guy, like just like idiot, pretty much. But I think he's not nearly as dumb as people make him out to be. I think he's got underrated intelligence when you look at what he was saying on Twitter about what he was actually saying in the New Japan situation. Like everything he said was perfectly reasonable almost. And you see him on Twitter now, he's trying to defend it, trying to make the best of things that he can. And not to say that he doesn't have a sense of craziness into him. No doubt. Anybody who wrestles is a little off kilter. Like there's no normal person in wrestling anywhere, and I'll tell you that firsthand. But I think that he doesn't get a lot of. He should have gotten more respect than he got for all of this. I mean, it was a sad thing, and I just hope for the best, and I hope that they keep him out of the main events going forward. But I have no problem with him wanting to wrestle because I know it's in his heart. I know he can't let it go. I totally understand that, but it's on the people around him to keep him out of the main event status, having 35-minute matches. I mean, that's just not going to get it done. And hopefully he can come back healthier. Mentally, I hope he's doing okay because I'm sure he saw a lot of this because he's a guy that's on Twitter a lot, and the reaction was largely negative, unfortunately. But I mean, it had to be. I mean, this was like I said, an indefensible match on so many levels. Sad way to end the show.
Yep, I think you summed that all up perfectly. Well, he'll be gone for a while anyway, before if he does return, and I actually expect him to do so eventually, and everything like that. So, I really do have best wishes and hope he recovers. Yeah. And then, so that's Noah. I think main event aside, they planted some things for 2024, and well, I can't say it's all up from here, but I think we we're moving on from the bottom of the post Muto retirement.
This wasn't a great show in my opinion, although I thought both of the Ishii and Kitamiya and the Keno and Soya matches were both great. A lot of the other stuff was solid but unspectacular, I would say, for pretty much across the board. And then the main event will very likely be the worst match of the year. Like next year, I mean, you can only imagine something getting worse, in my opinion. So it's a really tough show, but more so than the quality of the show itself, the positive I take from it is that they set up a lot of stuff from the future. And they set this up as kind of like a season premiere for the promotion, and a good way to start off the new year from that sense. But I do think that as a show, it's one that, last year's was a lot better, in my opinion. I didn't even like the main event last year at all. But I thought that show, you look at the Keno and Kaito match and the Junta junior title match with Amakusa, the show was a lot better last year than this one. But they set up more for this year in the future, and the stakes were lowered. They're not doing a New Japan show, like, a feud or whatever going into the later in the month. They don't have to worry about the Dome coming up for Muto's retirement. They just have to do them and make their company the best it can be. So hopefully they can take this as a good first step, as I've said before, and build upon it for months to come.
Yeah. So we move on to All Japan Pro Wrestling, who had their Mania X 2023 show at Yoyogi National Stadium Gymnasium number 2 in front of 2,687 fans. I said they needed to break 2,000 on the show, and they did, and I think that's a great number for them. And this might actually be their biggest legit number in a long time, because all of those other shows, like the Sumo Hall shows in 2016 and 2017 and the Budokan last year, they were selling block tickets to sponsors. So
yeah, total success in my opinion.
Yeah. The only other show that comes close was the Zeus versus Kento match in July 2018 in Osaka, and that did like 2,400, which was seen as a disappointment actually at the time.
Yep, I remember.
So that is a very positive for All Japan. We'll talk about not so positive things in a bit. So to start off the show, for the Gaora TV title skirmish, Minoru Tanaka, Naruki Doi, Koji Iwamoto defeated Black Mensa-Ray, Takuya Nomura, and Fuminori Abe in 9 minutes and 11 seconds with the ground Cobra on from Tanaka on Mensa-Ray. I mean, it was a perfectly nice little opener. One could say maybe it was not necessarily the best use of all of these guys, but it was to set up the match coming up in a couple of days from this. And I actually had a pretty strong feeling of what the title match was always going to be after this, even though it's Mensa-Ray.
Well, that just shows you need to have a little bit more respect for Black Mensa-Ray, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I do. I do.
Yeah, perfectly fine opener. I like all these guys, but nothing about it was special.
No. And then next up, the Tako Omori All Japan Pro Wrestling last match. Tako Omori, Ryuki Honda, Ryo Inoue defeated Mitsuya Nagai, Koji Doi, and Kuma Arashi in 8:49 with the Axe Bomber from Omori to pin Arashi. which was a nice little thing I think they did for him, getting a win on the way out, especially, where Omori is on the card these days and everything like that. It was fun. What can I say? I was going to enjoy this because of what it was.
We all knew it was over for Omori when he lost to Get Wild as his theme.
Well, he came
And
out to get wild on this.
and that's why we knew that. I mean, this was his swan song. You can't go out with the other generic song that he had. You had to get with Get Wild. And yeah, Omori always one of my favorites. Nothing about this match was stand out, but like you said, a nice little thing for Omori to get the win here. Long live the Axe Bama.
Hmm. And then next up, we had Yuma Aoyagi and Yoshitatsu defeating Shuji Shikawa and Ren Ayabe in 7 minutes and 31 seconds with the Japanese leg roll clutch hold on Aoyagi on Ayabe. Again, nothing special because they only also got 7.5 minutes, even though I've enjoyed Ishikawa and Ayabe's team. But really, after the match, then Yoshitatsu got on the mic and said he was leaving, which then began a monkey's paws series of events because it couldn't just be that, could it?
Yeah, see, you were hyped for this when it came out, but like that, then when everything came out, you changed your mind. It's too good to be true.
It was, as you said, it was too good to be true when I messaged you about it.
Here's my thing with this though. After the year he's had, this is the best you had for Aoyagi on your biggest
Yeah,
show.
that's what a lot of people said. Yeah.
Yeah, second fiddle to top. Like what? That's one of the things I'm disappointed in, and we'll talk about the main event a little bit more, but I think Aoyagi's really suffered the last couple of months with all these changes that have come about. He deserved a lot better than this on this show, and the match was nothing. But Yoshitatsu's out, and Ishikawa as well. So we'll talk about all that
We'll
later.
talk about that in a minute. Yoshitatsu showed up on DDT, as I think we all expected.
Yeah,
Well,
where he belongs.
yeah. Omori did not show up in DDT, which was what
He doesn't belong there.
Well, yeah, but June's there.
Where's he gonna? I mean, him and Noah. Like, what a return that would be after his last time at Noah.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he might be a good. If Noah needs someone backstage who's competent and respected, he would be the
Right,
choice.
and all the guys from back then are all long gone
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
When all of his heat started up, but he's yeah, I love Omori, like one of my favorites. So we'll talk more about all that.
And this is for the true newcomer of the year. June Seto defeated Ray Seto in 12 minutes and 6 seconds with a high kick. I got to hand to these guys. They went out there. They probably had both the best singles match of their career. They just ran into each other and they slapped and headbutted and everything. And then June's got the sort of like, oh, I got you with the high kick after them just pummeling each other. This was a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people, this got the attention of a lot of people that watched it and have, part of the turning the corner on the Saitos thing.
Yeah, this match rocked. Both guys worked well together. Just two big guys doing big guy stuff. And how could you not like it when it's these two, these kind of like wrestling anomalies in the modern day? I would say the Saito brothers are, and it's always fun to see them. They've really grown on pretty much everybody. Now that they've gotten away from the Voodoo Murders stuff that they were doing earlier on, they continue to grow, and this match ruled. I really enjoyed it. June continues to have the wins over Ray because he beat him last time they wrestled too. So Ray getting a lot of push on his own. He got to run in DDT in their tournament.
And that was a nice little run too.
Yeah, he did a lot.
I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw a couple of matches.
Yeah, him versus Naya was like the main match they built up, and it worked out really well. And I'm not even a big fan of Naya usually.
And I enjoyed the match against Mao.
Yeah, that was good too. That was early on in the tournament, and he did a good job in that. So yeah, I like them both. Him in the tournament, he did a good job as well, and I suspect there will be more great things in their future going ahead.
Mm-hmm. And then the Shotaro Ashino return match, which we've all been waiting for. Kiyoshiro Tokyo Japan and Seigo Tachibana defeated Jotaro Ashino and T-Hawk in 15:30 when Kuroshio pinned Ashino after the Ikemen slash, going some of that old school booking. The guy takes a fall after a long absence in his first match back. That sort of was a little deflating, not gonna lie, even though that's like traditional booking, especially with
Yeah.
Tachibana right there. And I don't want Jiro getting big wounds and everything like that. Jiro's entrance was ridiculous, and he also took a fall over a guardrail and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it was fine. It wasn't bad. Maybe it could have had a couple minutes shaved off of this though.
I hate Tokyo here. I think the entrance and all of that, I've seen it so many times, and it only gets worse as time goes along. It's not more easy. And in the ring, he really doesn't do anything for me. And it's a shame because Tachibana can actually be good. It's teaming with him. Somebody made a great comment on Cage Match that in this team, Seigo works down to Kuroshio's level. And
Yes,
I
yes.
agree I agree with that completely. And here everybody worked down to his level. Even though I think Ashino and Tiago, I mean, they're awesome. I love them both a lot. This would be a great long-term team if they wanted to get into it. Especially with everybody, their old faction gone by the wayside. Everyone's just broke up and graduated and whatever. Gungnir of Anarchy. So maybe Ashino could do something there. These two have the Wrestle One kind of history with each other. They work well as a team. But the match itself wasn't special because the other team weren't. They were there to do comedy spots, not have great action. And I hated that Ashino lost. I thought that was like, and I get it, the traditional booking and all that, but why? What what is the upside to Kuroshio at this point for All Japan?
Well, if you look at those responses he was getting in Korakuen,
Do you think they would push him like to a title shot or something
no,
like
but I
that?
think he's an attraction. I don't think he's going anywhere.
You may be right about that part.
Yeah. But yeah,
Doesn't mean I have to like him though.
no. But I look after watching the January 3rd match, like I see why they have him around.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to agree with me, but I also don't have to agree with them either.
No, but I would not want to see him pushed into a title program or anything like that. Next up
It
was
could be
this.
amusing seeing Nakajima like such a ridiculous matchup on paper. That could be like kind of fun actually.
I mean, the thing is though, I would fear that they would actually sort of wrestle in a way that made Jiro into a threat instead of just
Well,
totally destroyed.
yeah, he needs to
It'd
be
be
comedy
entertaining.
goof. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I don't expect him to get a title shot either.
No. Special tag match. Yuma Enzai and Charlie Dempsey defeated Tatsumi Fujinami and Leona in 8 minutes and 48 seconds when Dempsey used the Regal stretch on Leona. I mean, this is all about sort of, well, Dempsey got zero heat.
Yeah.
It was sort of cool to see him in those sequences with Fujinami, and Leona was perfectly inoffensive, but this match was only ever going to be not much to it, really.
Yeah. We'll talk more about Dempsey in the title match, but I
Yeah.
thought it was all right.
Yeah, it was all right.
Here. Yeah, like I don't want to say I like Leona, but he's all right. Like
Yeah, he's
he's
fine.
not bad. Yeah, like I totally acceptable mid card guy
Yeah.
who's definitely gotten better over the years.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and Dempsey I like well enough as a worker. He's not somebody I would want as like a main event guy, to be honest, when I look at him, but he's good. I like his style. I can see why Hideki liked him. He loves doing his like Frank Gotch style, like fist deal, like the 1900s fighter pose that he does.
Yeah.
He did that so many times in these matches he was with All Japan, which I appreciate. Anzai is a complete diamond. But he didn't really get to show it that much here. And Fujinami, I mean, one of the greats in his day, there's not a lot left in the tank. in my opinion, for him. I mean, it's just age, like it's hard to be good at that age, and he's as good of a choice as any, but he's not somebody I would say is a good worker at this point. I think Leona is actually a little better at this point. So
Yep.
yeah, it was all right.
Next up, we had All Japan versus DDT. Yuki Ueno and Toei Kojima defeated Asuke Oyagi and Rising Hayato in 13 minutes and 28 seconds with the WR from Ueno on Hayato. Somewhat surprising because I thought, Kojima was just going to eat the pin there. But I thought the Hayato versus Ueno sequences were really great. And this turned into a really like strong, maybe too strong a word, but like this was really good and a good match on the card, especially coming after that last match, which was a little slower, obviously.
But yeah, good card placement here to put that match before this one. I totally agree. I was really surprised by this. I thought for sure the All Japan Juniors would win and beat Kojima. I was thinking they might even give them one of them a title shot against Ueno, like as a one-off. But that obviously didn't happen here. Instead, they put the DDT champ over strong. That's fine. I definitely like their interactions. Again, Hayato is he's been on one lately. He's been doing some great work. Really come together as an all-around guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what I'm seeing from him. As a match, yeah. Cage Match has this at 6.72, which I think is like very accurate for this match. I would say that's about where I would have it too. And good work from all four men. Ueno is one of the better DDT workers. I don't know about him as champion, but I think that he, as a wrestler, is really good. Charisma, can he carry a company? I don't know, but so far so good. I thought he impressed in the tournament. And here I thought he looked good too. And him and Hayato do have something if they want to go back to that down the line.
Mm-hmm. And then next up for the PWF World Junior Heavyweight Championship, Dan Tamura defeated Al Lindemann in 17 minutes with the power bomb. Lindemann fails in his fifth defense, and Dan is now the 67th PWF Junior Heavyweight Champion, World Junior Heavyweight Champion. It's Dan the Man. The great moment. This was easily the best Lindemann match of this reign. It was a lot of fun. I thought he at least showed up willing to put over the young guy and everything like that. And just, the crowd was so behind Dan, and Dan is very over from the reports I've been getting from Paul. So that's a very good sign.
Yeah. Tamura, totally love how they booked the tournament. And very much am happy that he got his big moment here. The match itself was pretty good. I didn't think it was like way better than Lindemann's other matches. I still think there was something a little bit missing with him, especially early on. I think when Tamura took control and they started to turn in his favor, that's when things really picked up. More than the earlier like heat with Lindemann, I didn't think was that special. But when Tamura got going, he really was motivated. Like you said, the crowd really liked him. They were rooting for him. So all in all, yet another fairly successful outsider junior title run. And now we wait until the next outsider comes in 3 months or so and gets the title. And we will do it all again with Rising Hayato.
Well, does Koji Iwamoto count as an outsider?
That's true. Yeah, if they want to go down that, they have some interesting stories to tell with him if they would like.
Yeah.
But
I'll put an asterisk that's a little different, but
yeah, totally. Dan, great for him. Glad to see them. I wish that they had. I said this even before the match happened, but I especially say it after it happened. I wish that they had spread out the Sato title match later, like instead of doing it like literally right away.
Yeah,
because
that's
to
the
me
match.
That was like, yeah,
Dan challenged Sato. So
yeah, and to me that was like that's the biggest match for him personally that he could have in the title reign, like with his character, like your mentor that's been tag team champions with you and has always helped you out and all that stuff for years now. They've been aligned. That should have been the big match in his title reign, not doing it 2 days after he won the title, in my opinion, or 3 days or however long. So that was my one flaw with all of this. But him winning the title came across great, and it's good to move forward with him as champion. I look forward to see what he can do as the power guy of the junior division in All Japan.
Special 6-man tag match. Minoru Suzuki, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and Hokuto Omori defeated Suwama Hideki Suzuki and Hikaru Sato in 15 minutes and 47 seconds when Smith pinned Sato with the Bulldog Bomb. I did enjoy this, actually. I mean, I thought it was just a good match. I'm not sure it needed to be the semi-main event, but
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Smith works up to the level of his opponents, I suppose. In terms of like you put him in with good guys, it'll be a good match generally. And he's very over, and the fans were actually excited when he was announced and everything like that. So I see the rationale of him in All Japan and everything like that. Have a feeling that he'll be back and everything like that. So I think in that regard, it's fine. Playing off some Suzuki Gun nostalgia here and everything like that. But I guess my biggest gripe would be, okay, yeah, you had to pin Sato, but he's challenging for the title in a couple of days.
In this household, we never approve of Sato getting pinned in any circumstance, but it happens so often that I got have gotten used to it by now. I really liked Hideki and Minoru. I thought they had good interactions with each other.
They did.
I liked Omori too. As kind of like his performance was good because none of the other guys was going to take the heat and sell for the guys, so they left it on poor Omori, which I didn't like how they did that because I thought they did such a good job building him and Nakajima up as a team. I would have liked to seen this match built around him, but instead it was really more about Davey. So, but it was good. This was a good match overall, and it wasn't anything that's gonna rock the house or anything or like blow the roof off. But for a 6-man match, a little weird. It's the semi-main, and I really don't like it being built around Davey. With all due respect, I would have rather Omori got more shine. But I thought the performances were all really good here, and it was a good match.
And then in the main event for the Triple Crown, Katsuhiko Nakajima defeated Kento Miyahara in 25-51 with the arm lock to make his first defense of the Triple Crown. I mean, where to even begin? This is my match of the year, no question, I think. And this is the whole atmosphere from the Bom-Ba-Ye entrance to having Hisashi Shinma come out there with a New Japan jacket on to just a post-match of them.
With Snoopy.
The Inoki robe, the Muhammad Ali tribute tights, doing the Inoki low kicks from Inoki Ali, and then them going at it, and then just the finish and how shocking that was and everything. I mean, it was just like, what a spectacle, and what a big surprise. And just, I mean, Nakajima looked like $1 million, and this is like the peak of his career almost. Maybe not the peak of his career, but just how like he came over as a persona and everything like that. Like feels so hot.
Absolutely. I will say this. I personally, I have a little of a hot take actually on this match. I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong, and it's cool and fun and all of that. But I don't think this persona is like, I don't love it the way everybody else does. I think like the Inokiism stuff. And I'll tell you why, and why I think the first match was actually more impactful and better, in my opinion. So the first match was built all around the real story of these two and their history with each other. And I thought that made such, like, every single thing they've done building up to that match, from the Dome show where they had the 6-man tag and all the interactions there, it felt real. Like, it was based on real things, and they convinced you. Even, I mean, obviously they've come together to work together and have probably squashed whatever, we would hope. But still, it felt like these guys hate each other for real. This, and I actually think Nakajima winning the first time was more shocking than this too. But I wouldn't have felt that way if they hadn't have announced all of the WWE stuff and the assassin and all of that. I think they should have saved that. I would have had Dempsey come out after this match as a shock surprise and not say anything about. I would have totally never even dreamed of doing that Actress Girls video that they did. That should have never even been filmed. Like, I would have said nothing about any of this, and I've had him come out unexpected. What the hell is this WWE guy doing in All Japan? And like, and not play into it. Once they announced that WWE was coming, I really started because before that, I thought for sure Kento was going to win and get his win back. And maybe Nakajima would stay, maybe he would go. But I didn't think they were going to have Kento lose twice. But when they announced the assassin, why would the president want to assassinate Kento? Like I kept asking myself that question going into it. And I still couldn't quite bring myself to think, man, are they really going to job Kento out twice? Like in a row? And I thought that they might do it.
Well, we didn't know what Nakajima's status was. That was the big question. Was he going to show up on New Year's Dash or something like that? Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not happening now.
Yeah, and I thought that, like I said, once they did the assassin, that kind of changed my opinion a little bit. Because it was so built for Nakajima more than Kento, even though it's still kind of stupid with Nakajima. But it's still. I was not. The first match, I thought for sure Kento was going to win because Nakajima was not winning anything in Noah, pretty much for that point.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was stunned when he won. It felt real. Even the post-match angle was so exciting and electric. It was more impactful in my opinion than this, which was a great match, like match of the year level for sure, in my opinion. I like this Inoki deal is clearly a character. It's not built on any real feelings. It's just as an affront to troll all Japan.
Well, yeah, I see it as a troll gimmick, not his actual persona. But I think
exactly where the other one was what felt real, and this was a troll, and it's cool. It's still great. It's still a lot of fun. And obviously very disrespectful to all Japan, and fits him in a lot of ways that he would go this far, and to troll Fujita as well, that with the shaved head and the same tights. So from a personal standpoint, I'm sure this is very gratifying for Nakajima, but the other one to me was just more real, in my opinion, and more shocking because of the announcement of the WWE stuff. If they had left that out, I would have been really surprised, and I think maybe it would have impacted me more. But I was not completely caught off guard, even though I thought they were going to go to a draw, honestly, and they would drag it out to a third match. But the win was good. What did you think of the finish? Because I've seen some back and forth on that, but I thought it was really well done.
Oh, no, I thought it was great.
Yeah, me too.
It was the absolute value.
Yeah, and the work in the match too was really good. I love the way they built to it too. I thought they actually did it really well with Nakajima going after the arm. The wrestling in this was super on point. I mean, Kento has just had a fantastic year. I think you would say the peak of Nakajima. I think Kento was doing some of his best work of his career this year between the tag team stuff, the stuff he's done in the singles matches. And Nakajima, to me, he's now, again, I don't, this gimmick, it's not there's anything wrong with it or it's not great or anything like that, because it is. It's really good and really cool. I just like the first one's realistic touches more. But he's never came across like a bigger star than he has recently.
Yeah.
And he's a guy I really had some doubts about when he left, because in Noah, he was never a successful drawing card at the end of the day. And I think with this All Japan stuff, with the Kento stuff, and I think they've done a great job, because then now, and I will credit this gimmick again, even though I think it's a little too, not realistic in my opinion. Because they've done it how they've done it, they moved on to where now Nakajima isn't just a draw because he's facing Kento. Mm-hmm. He's a draw on his own to see what he's going to do next.
Yes.
I think they've totally successfully pivoted this into where they're literally revitalizing this man's career, because when he was in Noah, think about where he was when he left. Where would you have ranked him?
Well, he was in Access, which sort of helps his status, I suppose, more so than being in a singles.
That's true. They just started that though.
Yeah.
Or just had restarted that, which was an emotional moment where they returned together. But to me, he would have been sixth best heavyweight, maybe seventh, maybe even lower. In Noah.
For sure.
And for a long time, he was lower. After that Fujita loss, and you could tell that did impact him. The fact that he went so far, you could tell that he still thinks about that to this day. And there were issues, which I think any person logical would think that as well, with how things went. But it feels like he's fighting through his own, the ghost of his own past almost. Another thing, I would have liked it better too. What really would have been emotional for me, and I think would have struck me as much as this match did a lot of people, I don't think they've gone nearly enough into the well of their relationship with Kensuke. And like they never really went into any of that here, where the other one went a little bit more than that. But still, I want to see Hokuto and Kensuke at one of these matches.
Yes, I would like to see that.
And like
The
have
funny
them
thing
choose
is,
a side. Yeah.
Kensuke once did a video package for them for a Kento match. It was actually the Kento versus Suwama match in March 2020, like as the pandemic was starting, where Suwama won. But that's the only one I can remember he appeared. Like he didn't appear, he was in the video. But that's the only time I can remember that.
Yeah, make that a part of their story a little bit more. I'd like to see something like that, even if it's just a video again, like you said, or maybe Hokuto can come to a show and be like, try and be like, Nakajima, you've gone too far, or something like that. I would love to see them bank on that because in my opinion, there's still plenty of gas left in this feud between him and Kento. Like this isn't near over.
I think it's kind of clear where this is going now.
With now Kento will get his win eventually. I'm sure that they don't want him to just come in there. Kento Hogan will not take this lying down in All Japan, although he's doing what's best for business. So he
absolutely is doing what's best for business.
Yeah,
and I mean it's probably Champion Carnival and then the third match.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think pretty much everybody expects that he is now the favorite for the Champion Carnival, and you get the big climactic match with Nakajima. You've still got Nakajima and Hokuto's tag title match. They could do something out of that, maybe spin that into a singles match.
Yeah, maybe, but I'll just say I think it would be overkill if you put the tag titles on Nakajima as well.
No, I don't think they should do that at all. I think that they could do it where Hokuto gets a singles match against Nakajima, and he's like the V2 or V3 or whatever defense. If you wanted to do that.
I was gonna say you give Jun Saito a title match against Nakajima. I think.
Yeah, why not? Hey, listen, that is the newcomer of the year we're talking about right now. You have to give him some props. That would be a lot of fun.
And they set up a couple of matches. I think also we'll get into in a minute about Nakajima. After the shows.
We'll talk about that.
So
great match, fantastic, one of the best of the year. And I don't have I'm not arguing with you at all that this one's not better, but I just personally, my affinity for the first one's a little bit stronger in my opinion.
So after the show, everything fell apart because Tokyo Sports ran a story, and I should be note that said that Tsuji Ishikawa was leaving the company, and people were upset with the president, Tsuyoshi Fukuda. And Dylan, you and I have both arrived at this conclusion very early on that Fukuda is a bigger problem than any relationship with WWE.
Oh yeah, I literally said that the first like as soon as that video released, I said that this video have way more of a red flag than any NXT or WWE involvement. I mean, this guy's nuts from the looks of it.
Now, there's more to this story. So shout out to Irving on Twitter, obviously.
Oh, I love Irving. Yeah, great.
Long time follower, really put out I was promoting All Japan during the Muto years. And everything like that. Simon Inoki is behind some of this. Did you see that?
I thought that as well, actually. Like I thought that eventually, but at first it was just
he found on Simon Inoki's Twitter account. He was like, in the airport, retweeting stuff about Dempsey, All Japan, and everything like that. So
and I thought that immediately, actually, when they brought.
Sorry, I was going to say, that's not a good sign.
Where is this coming? And
then
it turned out that he is involved. So I think that's very interesting. A good job by Irv. Again, a great credible source on All Japan and just a really knowledgeable fan to talk to.
So, not a good sign. Where do you think? Okay, I like to twist your arm about this. Where do you think Hideki falls into all of this?
He is the one behind
responsibility in all of this.
The mastermind behind it all.
The higher power.
Yeah, exactly. It was him all along. Well, and remember, Hideki worked for IGF back in the day as well. So they probably have a history.
He has totally disappeared from Noah.
Yeah. No, what's gonna happen to Rio now?
I don't know.
That's the burning question on all of our hearts, is where this will lead. But no, I'm sure he's the one that probably wanted, shouted out Dempsey, for something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've done stuff. I remember Like during the later years of IGF, Simon had talked with WWE. He wanted to get Brock Lesnar into IGF like in the mid 2010s, like 2010s. Because that's the kind of guy Simon is. And he brought him in the first time
Yep.
for New Japan. Here's the thing about him. What are your thoughts on that whole era, like his era of New Japan? Because you would have followed that.
It almost killed the company.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I don't think he's like a horrible human being or anything. I just think he's
No,
not
I have nothing against him, but yeah, personally,
like there's no stories like he's devious or anything. He's just not very good promoter.
yeah, he's just kind of a weird booker, like more or less.
Yeah.
But I will say, I've always thought during that time, because your thought process is very not uncommon among fans who are aware of that time in New Japan. I do think there were other forces at work. He got a
Sure.
little bit of a bad rap. Like, I thought everybody put everything on him, and I didn't think that was true. There was a lot going on at the time with Ukes and all kinds of stuff back then that we don't need to get into. But I did think he got a little bit of a bad rap.
But his
I
instincts are go and talk to WWE and
yes,
bring in international stars, and
yes,
when everything else was already working in the company.
yes. And that tells you where we're at right now. Like with that, like you said, that was his instincts at the end of the day. But it's not a good sign at all. It's not something I would want. It's not the news I would want.
I'm still not panicking for a couple of reasons. We'll get to in a
No.
minute. But anyway, the story is a couple of things. Ishikawa seems like he's out. Kento Miyahara is the new wrestlers chairman, so he's the go-between between the office and the wrestlers, which I think is going to at least keep a lot of the younger guys in the company. Rising Hayato, I don't know how much he's leaning into it as part of an angle, but seems obviously upset that Ishikawa's gone, but he's still there. The Aoyagi brothers are there, who are like, I think of everyone you got to keep, it's them. They are the future of that company. And, so Fukuda says like he doesn't follow social media and was unaware of the backlash.
What? People didn't like that?
Okay. Also update from the show after the show on the 3rd from Paul. Fukuda was shaking everybody's hands that on their way out of the venue, like the fans. So I think he's trying to do damage control.
Yeah.
I think he's aware that there's pushback. He said he hoped that Ishikawa would wrestle for them again, although the company still hasn't officially announced that he's gone.
Right.
But it's going to be at the end of the month. So I don't know if these injuries are real or not. They could be too. Could be a combination. So I don't know. I mean, we're still in flux. We got to see how things play out. But again, I'm more worried about that than WWE. Oh, and the actress deal was none of the wrestlers knew about it.
Yeah, I have no fear whatsoever of WWE, in my opinion. There are laws in Japan that prevent such a thing from taking place, and everyone always goes to Europe and America, but it's just different in Japan at the end of the day. I don't know how many times, every time something like this happens, I always say the same stuff, and nobody listens at the end of the day. But no, WWE, this feels like more of a one-off. Maybe there'll be more in the future, but
well,
we'll see.
PW Insider had a one-off Mike Johnson thing that it was one sentence talking about how Dempsey didn't win the Triple Crown, and it's expected to be not just a one-time thing, but I don't know what that means. If this is just an NXT guy showing up every couple of months, I don't really care that much, as long as that's all it is.
This whole thing was weird, like with Dempsey at the end of the day. He's basically somebody who has no actual value himself. Well, at the end of the day, I mean, he has no track record in Japan. He's never wrestled there. He was in the LA dojo or whatever for New Japan for a brief time.
I mean, if he wanted a career in Japan, he could have one, I think.
Yeah, and I like him. I like him
too.
as a wrestler. I have nothing against him personally at all, and I like his game for such a young guy. But he has no star power, and they brought him right away into the main event and going for the Triple Crown, which I thought was a bad move overall. But it turned out all right. It
I think
didn't hurt anything. Yeah, yeah, it
No,
didn't
it
hurt
certainly
anything at
didn't.
the end. So I guess it worked out well enough. We'll see what's going forward. Another thing too, if WWE really wanted to take over or whatever, like wouldn't they send somebody a little bigger on the depth
That's
chart?
that's my thing, right?
Yeah.
It's some other things that just make this seem like it's not a big deal in a minute. But let's get to the show.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, so at least we know that now, especially from hearing that Fukuda was, Fukuda got booed too when he did the New Year's welcome. So
Yeah,
he's at
that was
least
fun.
he's at least aware.
They made him aware.
Yeah, they made him aware. I mean, look, it's clear that Miyahara and Nakajima have a ton of influence in the company right now, and so that hopefully will balance things out.
Yeah, I think it's all like we'll see. I mean, I don't know what this entails or what instincts he has as a backstage guy. You just never can tell that, but
Yeah.
he seems a little nuts of himself, but maybe in a good way.
So, so on January 2nd, Corkin Hall, 1,008 fans. Now, apparently, a number of fans were unable to attend due to the earthquake, and they were offering refunds to those that couldn't make it.
Yeah,
So,
shout out to Japan in general. They've had some rough times to start off the year. My prayers are out to everybody in Japan. I hope you guys are okay.
yeah,
Out there,
thankfully, it
everybody.
didn't turn out as badly as people expected, at least tsunami wise.
Yeah, yeah. Good, good. I hope
Um,
everybody's safe there.
and so, uh, but at this point, anything over 1,000 for all Japan and Corkin's good. And the
Oh,
January
absolutely.
2nd, January 2nd show always does less. So the
Yeah.
New Year Junior Special Six-Man Tag Match, Naruki Doi, Koji Iwamoto, and Takahiro Katori defeating Rising Hayato, Fuminori Abe, and Ryo Inoue in 7:05 with the Koko no Geijutsu from Iwamoto on Inoue. Perfectly solid opener with these guys. Couldn't ask for more. And I think also heating up Iwamoto.
Yeah. No issues with this either. Iwamoto, I liked this tournament well enough. The junior tournament was a thing where it's like everybody was good. There wasn't a lot of great
No,
to be had.
well, that's also the structure.
Yeah, the time limit. Yeah, I was about to say that. Like it wasn't even built for that with the time limit and it being on the undercard of the tag league. So hopefully he can get a big match to really show what he could do full throttle.
And then next up, Gaylord TV Championship. Black Menso Ray defeated Minoru Tanaka in 9 minutes and 28 seconds with a cradle. Well, I mean, I can't say too much about this match, but obviously, and I know that Menso Ray is a really good little worker at the end of the day. And I thought this was a fun little match and did what it needed to do. But you don't have to go rush and watch. You don't have to rush out and go watch this or anything like that.
If you watch one match from All Japan, this is the one you have to
Yeah.
go to.
But Mr. Gaylord TV title himself has it again.
That's right. I mean, for him, this is a big win. In all
It is a huge
fairness,
win, yeah, for him.
Yeah.
And
Tanaka,
he,
one of my favorites. Yeah, go on.
yeah. Oh, and Seigo Tachibana is going to be challenging for the title.
Yeah, should be fun. I like to get him away from Jiro, and I'll be happy. Good win for Mensure. Decent little match. Like nothing wrong with it at all. Tanaka, one of my favorites, but not at his peak right now. This was a fine spot for him, and Mensure gets the TV title. Who knows? I doubt this. I doubt the title will be moving up the card anytime soon, but I can enjoy these
definitely
undercard
not.
matches. Yeah.
Sure. With him, better than some of the other alternatives. Well, let's just say.
Yeah.
Then Shotaro Shino, Kuroshio Tokyo, Japan, and Seigo Tachibana defeated Kento Miyahara, Yuma Aoyagi, and Atsuki Aoyagi in 11:46 with the T-bone suplex from Shino on Atsuki. Both teams entered from the crowd and got a lot of heat. It was a perfectly fine 6-man. Again, I mean, your mileage will vary with Jiro, but at least Ashino got the win.
That's right. If you can't beat him, join him. And Ashino proved that once again.
Next up, Actred's time. Greatest Taco Papa is coming. This match was not announced ahead of time, and I thought that it was actually just a performance, but it turned into a match. And it was Misa Matsui and Natsumi Sumikawa defeated Great Asako and Mirai Aono in 10-10 with a diving double knee drop from Sumikawa on Asako. This wasn't good. And the crowd was definitely not into this because they were puzzled, but it was also not announced ahead of time. And this Asako is not a great
Terrible.
mood of tribute either.
Yeah.
Worse than Fukuya, even. Although that's not Kawahata's fault completely there.
No, yeah. Kawahata is a much better wrestler than Great Asuko. Like it's just held
Yeah.
down by a terrible gimmick.
Um,
This sucked too.
I mean, there was some okay wrestling in the middle of this, but
I
just
like
the whole thing was not great.
I like the non-Asuko team actually. I thought
Oh yeah,
Sumikawa,
they're both good. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't know anything about AWG or anything actually. So I have had to read up in the last couple of days.
What did you read?
Well, just who the stars are and everything like that.
Sumikawa I knew because she was in Stardom originally. Like her original name was like Shozuki, and
Okay.
she was one of my favorites back then. But she retired. Like a bunch of people back then retired when they like were really young. And then she came back. Fuka got her back somehow for this Actress Girls, but she looked good. And the other one, I'm not like hugely familiar with Actress Girls at all.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, or some people, not a lot of people that like it. But these are kind of like the top stars from what I can tell. Plus Great Asuka. I know
believe
like
Iono is one of them. Yeah, and Sumikawa.
yeah, she was like the champion for a long time. I think she just like lost the title like a few days before this. And she'd been the champion for like most of the year for them. So yeah, I thought the non-Osco team was actually pretty decent, and when they tried to let them wrestle, they did okay, but anything surrounding the Osco stuff really didn't work. And sadly again, the crowd did not like this at all. Like they didn't care whatsoever about any of this. I thought they did better the next night with them, but
Oh, for sure, for sure.
yeah.
But this
This
just
wasn't good.
yeah, and it was obviously one of those like what's going on with this company type things.
Yeah, like we didn't cut. This is not what we bought a ticket to All Japan to see.
Yeah, I think it was just more about a thing of like nobody knew anything about any of these people.
And it was bad. Like at the end of the day, like there was no reason to react to
Yeah.
what they were doing.
And then next up we had Suwama Ryuki Honda, Renayabe, Osama Nishimura, of course.
Yeah.
Mitsuya Nagai versus Minoru Suzuki, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Hokuto Omori, and then Jun and Rei Saito. This went to a contest in 10 minutes and 9 seconds because the Saitos and Suzuki could not get along. I mean, there wasn't much to this. I mean, it was just a huge brawl all over the place, going up into the crowd and everything like that.
Maybe
So-
building up to Suzuki and Davey going for the tag titles.
I sort of got a bit of that vibe. I think I could see that. I think they want to lean into that Suzuki gun nostalgia and everything like that. So that's what I assume is going on out of this. But it was just not much else to it, really.
Yeah, nothing match. I always enjoy seeing Nishimura, one of my old school favorites. And,
Absolutely.
the guy giving us some rings love here too, which appeals to me as well. So, nothing match really, but I'll wait and see where they're going with the Saitos and see if this sets up something.
Yeah. So next up, and then it was Yuma Anzai and Charlie Dempsey defeated Katsuhiko Nakajima and Hideki Suzuki in 14:45 with a bridge style backslide from Dempsey on Nakajima, which I sort of expected to happen. And
Yeah, can you
that-
believe how much people were like shocked at this? And it was like, what? Like,
That's
of
just
course,
classic.
like,
That's
yeah.
classic booking.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Gets the win in the tag match. Nothing to see here.
yeah, exactly. It meant nothing. People reacted like it was this like ungodly move. That
Also,
was unbelievable.
Nakajima popped right back up.
No, yeah, it was. Hey, listen, like again, this guy has done nothing in his career practically.
Mhm.
Like with all due respect to Dempsey, he has no major wins. Even in NXT, he's like a low card guy.
Yeah.
Let alone in Japan. So they need to do something to build up and give some purpose to this title match.
Right.
Of course, they were going to build it.
And
up.
they gave him the classic, like, oh, this is the classic British guy credibility,
Yeah.
and they brought up Billy Robinson and everything like that, right? Like,
yeah.
you know, all the big British stars in Japan and everything like that to give him some sort of aura and everything.
Yeah, it was normal. Like it was a decent match. Like it wasn't a great match, but I thought it was pretty good. Like personally.
The stuff that got the most heat on this match was the Anzai and Nakajima stuff.
Well, Eye is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think he's really underrated actually. Like even though everyone loves him, they always whenever anybody puts him over, it's always in the context of, oh, he's really good for like such a young guy. Like for
Yeah.
this rookie guy with so much he's one of the best guys, period. Like to me, if you look at his year, he has
Mhm.
been one of the most consistent wrestlers in any company, in my opinion, in ring. I think he's one of the. I know this is about to sound like an extreme hot take. I think you could put him as one of the best wrestlers in any company in Japan, and like from for 2023. I don't think I'd put him. I wouldn't vote for him as my Tanahashi Trophy winner in the
Mhm.
Eastern Lariat Awards, but he's somebody I would look at. If you look at his run again, tag teams, singles matches, any scenario you put him in, whether it's main event, low card, match like this where he's not even a star player, he stands out and does great work in all of them. I think Anzai is one of the best workers right now, and he looked great here. That's a match they should really think about doing. If not Omori, they don't split.
I thought that's what they were going to go to next, but I think they're still going to do it because I think it's a perfect match to do between now and the Champion Carnival.
But yeah, absolutely. Um, I think he's a great choice to get a title shot. Or even if they wanted to hold off, let's say Nakajima's in the Champion Carnival. I think that should be like he should only have one or two losses, and Anzai should be one of them.
Well,
That beats him.
I was thinking about that. I think the other Yuba should be one of them.
Well, obviously because he lost. I mean, they've really pushed him lately, but that would be a good way to get him back on track for sure to get his win back.
Hmm. I did really enjoy this match, and I had a good feeling going into the following day after it too.
Yuma and Yuma, two losses in the Champion Carnival for
Mhm.
Nakajima.
And then for the PWF World Junior Heavyweight title, Dan Tamura defeated Hikaru Saito in 14:44 with the crab hold. All in all, and you brought up the good points about why did they rush into this just a couple of days after. I thought it did what it needed to do. I thought that it was like, Dan obviously having to survive the kicks and the submissions from Sato. And then he got a big submission of his own, right? Because he's been playing up. He's also the grapple guy and everything like that. Um, I can't say it was like fantastic or anything, but it was probably as good as you were going to get on like 3 days' notice.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I don't think this really connected as much as it could have if it was built more.
Right.
The crowd wasn't that into it. Um, I thought Sato was great, as he always is. Really made everything feel earned when Dan was coming back up. Unfortunately, by the end, it turned into more of like, Dan trying to do like an Ishii style match almost, just run through everything. And even though Sato had done a brilliant job working over Dan and the limb work, it didn't really matter that much by the end, and he just plowed through him pretty much. And which is, I mean, that's what you want to do. Like you want him to be powerful and look strong at the end. So it would definitely, like you said, accomplish what it needed to. It was a good match. I thought Sato was great in it. I think the circumstances kind of lowered the ceiling on it a lot,
Sure.
and this is what we got out of it, which was still a good match. Like definitely would recommend it. Give it that that 7 out of 10, 3.5 star, whatever you want to rate it. I thought it was a good match, but I think under the right circumstances, it could have been something special, like a really great match, and I don't think this was it.
And it sounds like Tamura is looking for Iwamoto next, which is an interesting thing that he's sort of like going out and trying to find challengers himself instead of people challenging him.
Yeah, they can play that. They can play into that a little bit, and I think that's a good matchup. Again, I want to see Iwamoto in a big match to see what he's got in the tank, for this run here. So far, I've seen nothing that suggests he's not as good as he always was in the ring. But
Mhm.
now we get to see it. He gets the chance to do something really good and go to that next level, and hopefully they both can.
And then we had the main event, the New Year Battle Royal, that Rio Inoue won when it came down to him versus Rising Hayato and Hokuto Mori, and he rolled them both up with a double pin because they had their arms locked and their backs to each other. And this also featured Miyahara, Yuma Aoyagi, and Atsuki Aoyagi, Black Mansoure, Seigo Tachibana, Suwama, Hideki Suzuki, Hikaru Sato, Fuminori Abe, Dan Tamura, Koji Iwamoto, Ryuki Honda, Yuma Anzai, Takahiro Katori, Rei Saito, Jun Saito, Naruki Doi, Ren Ayabe, Rising Hayato, and oh yeah, I already said that. So, I mean,
The
this
whole
was fun.
gang is
The whole
is there.
gang. This was fun, especially like Miyahara going out first, and then like the Saitos like brawling and getting eliminated and everything like that.
Anzai and Honda was my favorite spot of
Yes,
the
they got
match.
DQ'd.
Yeah.
That a huge pop in the thing. So I mean, by Battle Royal, it was
And
very
look who won.
enjoyable. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with Inoue getting put over.
Mhm.
Uh, Even if it was like silly how they did it, but it's cool. Like this is just fun. Like no reason to watch this, but for the building, for the start, like give good vibes to end the first show of the year. This is perfect for what it was.
Mhm. So we go to January 3rd for the New Year's Giant Series at Corkin Hall again in front of 1,331 fans, and that's a solid number. That's good. You can't complain with that number for them.
Really good number for a guy who has no value, like for like no footprint in Japan. Really, that says a
Yeah.
lot about Nakajima and what the fans think of him. And for a show that really has nothing under it, it was
I
a
mean,
one
this
man
was selling
show.
well even before because it's like the January 3rd show, right? But yeah,
Historically, always the big show for All Japan. They usually always have a big title match on there as well. But still, like a good sign for All Japan in general.
yeah, for sure. And then so we had another 8-man match, which was Karasato, Naruki Doi, Koji Iwamoto, and Fuminori Abe defeating Dan Tamura, Rising Hayato, Black Mensura, and Ryo Inoue in 7:57 when Iwamoto pinned Inoue again. So I mean that's clear where that's going and everything like that. But again, solid opener.
Yeah, I think it was all right. Pretty much, and probably building up to Iwamoto going for the title shot with Tamura, like you said. Nothing really stood out. It was just a lot of guys in a short amount of time, and just a lighthearted opening match.
And then next up, Minoru Suzuki and Hokuto Omori defeated Kuroshio Tokyo Japan and Seigo Tachibana in 12:19 with a Gotch style pile driver from Suzuki on Tachibana. And look, if you want to talk about why Jiro is kept around, this is why. I mean, this match had an
So he could get beat up all around the arena
well,
by
yeah, but I
Minoru
mean,
Suzuki.
but look, and I was talking to Paul about this. Like, this match had just so much crowd. The crowd was incredibly into this match and everything like that, despite all of the
Oh yeah.
goofiness and everything like that, right? And they were brawling
Well,
around, and Suzuki and they interrupted Jiro's entrance, which got huge boos and everything like that. So, I mean,
yeah, he's a fan-friendly character automatically, but it doesn't mean anything in my opinion. There's not much more to him than that. And especially I'm at home and not in the arena, so I still don't like him. Um, you're not gonna sell me on, on Jiro at this point, but unfortunately, and I also didn't like it because like once they started to get back in the ring, they actually started to like go even with these guys. I wish that they would take more care of Hokuto after they did such a fantastic job in the tag league of building him up. I think he's not. They could do a little bit more, but he's on the winning side, so it's not that bad. Uh, Not a great match, I would say, but it was all right.
mhm. The
Could have
next
been worse.
It could have actually. Next up, Ryuki Honda and Yuma Anzai defeated Yuma Aoyagi and Atsuki Aoyagi in 13:33 with the final event from Honda on Atsuki, which I suppose was the sort of expected result and everything. And this was great. I mean, how could this not be? I mean, you could say could give these guys 5 more minutes or something like that, right? And it was only the third match on the card, but really a strong match for what it was.
Totally agree. I thought this match was awesome. For its part of the spot on the card. Um, I like how they kind of gave all four guys like a moment of shine in the match.
Hmm.
I thought it was really well like formatted in that sense. And I love that they really showed a shine for Yuma and Yuma here, like the two Yumas going at it. I think they set that up. Again, I really hope they're both in the same block as Nakajima because I think that these two should be the ones to be focused on getting that big win and
Hmm.
also against each other. this could be a banger match, like in the future, like singles between Anzai and Aoyagi. I want to see that. For me personally, that's like one of my most anticipated matches they can do, because I think they've got excellent chemistry, and they're also just great wrestlers. Like two of the better performers overall this past year. Honda's really done a great job of growing into his role. Him and Anzai have great chemistry together too.
Yeah.
Even on
Well,
social
here's the
media.
thing that I wanted to say about you talking about Anzai. I think if I had a critique is that he needs to like sort of work on his charisma and work the crowd more, and he's doing that with Honda.
Yeah, yeah. And I totally, Honda's always been a guy that, like, he's got that charisma about him.
Mhm.
Even just the way he carries himself. If you put him in a picture, obviously before, I still don't like the hair. Don't get me wrong. Like the old hair was way better in my opinion, but he's grown into it, and the way he carries himself has worked out really well. I do have to admit that, unfortunately. Um, but even back then when he first showed up, you just put it an 8x10 of him up, and he just looks like a dude, like a
Mhm.
charismatic guy that you want to see what he's going to do in the ring. Anzai definitely growing by teaming with Honda as well. And you see on Twitter, they're always doing funny little videos together. They're bringing the best out of each other, and they're a great team with each other as well. So I love both those guys a lot. And I love all of them a lot. I like this match a lot. Like this is a
Yeah,
really good match.
it was. And then next up, Jun Saito and Rei Saito defeated Shotaro Ashino and Ren Ayabe in 12 minutes and 6 seconds with a diving body press from Rei on Ayabe. I assume that this was put together at the last minute because of Ishikawa's absence and everything like that. It was a perfectly solid match, but there wasn't any real stakes to it or anything like that. But I thought the Saitos performed well and everything like that. But there wasn't really much else to it.
Yeah, I think again a basic tag match, but not poorly done at all. I thought it was well done for what it was. I thought that June got a good nice little spotlight here as well, overall. And I think that obviously Ashino's great. I'm still pretty skeptical of Ayabe. We'll see what happens now
Well,
that
he didn't get announced as being signed, which many expected, and because he left JTO.
yeah, and now Ishikawa's out. That's his
Yeah,
guy. So
yeah,
it makes sense with that in mind. Obviously, if that hadn't have happened, you would have think, oh, that's really weird. Why didn't he get signed? But I'm still skeptical of him. He's obviously has the size in the ring. I have my doubts, but he was all right here. Like him versus the Saitos. We always say it, and we both made this point in the past. The Saitos are better against
yeah,
other big dudes
yeah.
rather than
They're
small
not
guys.
like squashing little guys type,
Yeah, yeah,
which was some of the issue on the Great Show too. Although
yeah, yeah.
they're getting better, but really it is about the big guys running into each other. That's the strength.
Yeah, and I think that really worked for Ayabe. Like it's so simple. Like it didn't matter that he was a little uncoordinated because the Saitos are kind of clumsy in their own right, but it all came together to work in a good way, I thought.
Mhm.
Decent match here.
Yeah. In the semi-main event, Kento Miyahara and Davey Boy Smith Jr. defeated Suwama and Hideki Suzuki in 20 minutes and 2 seconds when Miyahara reversed a powerbomb attempt from Suwama into a front cradle. I like this. I thought it was good. Obviously, it's continuing the Suwama and Hideki Suzuki partners that don't get along but do get along thing. And I thought this was a very solid match. And I thought the last few minutes with Miyahara and Suwama delivered as it always does. I mean, those guys obviously have worked together like if not hundreds of times and everything like that. So I thought this was solid. And, it's Smith just going in there hitting his power spot. So I thought it was good and a good semi-main event.
Yeah, it was decent. I honestly liked the Honda and Anzai match a bit more. I thought
Yeah, I
that
think it would be a little better. Yeah.
Davey Boy to me, like he's a solid worker. Like in the ring, he's pretty good, but he's so bland. Is like when I watch him wrestle, I'm never that into his work because there's just nothing there for me to really grab onto when I watch him wrestle. I think something like this is kind of good because you get the two different strengths of his
Mhm.
with the opponents. Something like so with Suwama, you get the power guy,
Yeah, I thought he
like
worked well against Suwama.
and I think like in his mind, he thinks he's a great technical wrestler.
Oh, he is. He does think that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that.
But I think that's like he was better against Suwama than Hideki
Yeah.
overall. Like and obviously everybody knows me at all knows that I love Hideki and think he's one of the best.
Mhm.
But he wasn't putting his max effort into this match, and I don't think he puts any max effort into this team with Suwama. But with Kento, he always puts in max effort, so you were able to get the most out of that. Davey Boy, again, a solid worker. I thought him and Suwama had some good spots. Kento and Suwama had some. Again, they've worked together a million times. Of course, they're good. Hideki, I didn't think was putting in the best he could here, but he's obviously always fun.
Look, I think Hideki's. I mean, I think Hideki's had some pretty good matches in All Japan. I think his best stuff's been against Anzai.
Yeah, me too. I really want to see more. I just want to see Anzai face everybody. I think who he can run down the whole roster. But Hideki, I love that. If they put him in a singles match, I'd be interested in him against pretty much anybody on the roster. The tag team with Suwama, I really started out negatively on. They've got better as the tournament went along, like with the tag team. And they're all right here. And I thought, like I said, the individual parts of this match worked okay, but I thought that as a match, it didn't quite do it for me. It was still good, like totally solid, but the other match I thought was like, okay, this really grabbed me. This match I thought, okay, that's pretty solid, but it didn't hook me that much.
And so the Suwama and Hideki bromance continues. I assume, or maybe they're going to swerve us and they're not going to break up.
I mean, maybe. I mean, what realistically, what's the ceiling on Suwama right now? It'd be better for him to be in this tag role than a.
But like I see Suwama and Hideki being like the second or third from the top match on a big show.
Yeah. Hopefully they get to that singles match. That's what I thought they were going to.
I would like to see that. I mean, Suwama
yeah.
actually does have some technical skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, underrated guy in that aspect.
And then in the main event for the Triple Crown, Katsuhiko Nakajima defeated Charlie Dempsey in 19 minutes and 42 seconds with a Northern Lights bomb to make his second successful defense of the Triple Crown. First of all, Dempsey has finally got himself over with the crowd. Now, some of that might be
shockingly.
Some of that might be also like heat on Nakajima as the invader.
Yeah, which that shows the flaw with this whole story. Never mind any of these two workers, or what they built with, but the part of the president and the bringing the guy in, that makes no sense when you think about it. Why would you bring an invader to take on another invader when you should want to back up your own guy, like to get the title belt back?
Yeah.
I think that was a big miss. And the fans actually took to the foreign invader above Nakajima, which is a testament to Nakajima's heat.
Nakajima was like more insulting them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a testament to his skill as a heel and the troll character that we talked about. Again, I think it comes across not as realistic as what we saw against Kento earlier on and what I would want to see with this Kensuke and all that. But there's no question it's a great character for All Japan, that it totally works with the scarf, doing the Inoki call at the end, the Ichini Sanda. You see these guys, it's just a great gimmick overall for an All Japan guy and somebody that meant a lot in Nakajima to do a lot of great things. So I thought he was great in this match as well, just even in the ring. And I thought Dempsey did a great job.
Look,
here.
I like this match a lot.
Yeah, me too. I thought it over-delivered from what I expected.
Yeah, well, I expected it to be good, I think, between these two.
Me too.
And I thought the near falls that Dempsey got were pretty compelling and everything like that. And because they had set up that sort of backside bridging and everything like that. So that got a big pop when Nakajima kicked out and everything.
And that's why they did what they did the night before. This to build up to that spot. And it worked. It
worked.
Compare how the crowd reacted to Dempsey the first night he was in to this match. And you could see how successful and how good he was during this tour to get that up, and how good the booking was.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then Nakajima won, of course, as I expected. I mean, I wasn't. Yeah. Come on.
And you could see his dad and how he wrestles, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot there. Like,
absolutely.
With him. And we saw the ball knowers, like the true ones who know, when people caught on it. And of course I knew this right away, but when he did Victor Zangev's like twisting cattle mutilation, which was a great move, and I thought it was really cool that he brought that out here. I don't know if his dad told him about that, or he was watching tapes of that, because that was back in the old days. Obviously, everyone goes to Hashimakov for the New Japan Russian guys back then. But Zangief was good too. So I love seeing that little callback there to a very obscure time. Love the technique from Dempsey. Nakajima was doing himself. So much charisma. Like Nakajima could just stand there and it feels like he just has an aura that, you know, he had it in Noah, but they didn't capitalize on it the way that All Japan is already in such a short time. There was that brief period with Nakajima when he first, because like when he was the champion the first time, when he was just clean cut,
Yeah, it was
you know,
bland.
yeah, that didn't work at all. When he lost the title and turned, he grew his hair out. He had a really strong aura about him that popped off. And they continued on with the Axis thing, which was very popular, obviously, as like a very much like, brothers in arms type of deal, you know, um, almost like an idol team in a lot of ways. They were able to make him very successfully. And then he was great in that too. But here in this match and this run in All Japan, he really has an aura of the dude, like the top star that I don't think he ever really actually had in Noah, even when he was the champion. I think they've totally done a great job with that. Say what you want about this nut job president they have, but this company is using this guy really well, doing and hitting on a lot of things. Because, like I said, this was a risky proposition, Dempsey, for a lot of reasons. I mean, everybody
Oh,
go to
yeah.
the WWE stuff, but just take it at face value. We're bringing in basically a nobody, and he's not ever had this kind of main event match of this length ever in
No.
his career, and we're hoping that the crowd can get behind. I mean, I don't know if they wanted to get behind him, but
they did.
Nakajima had no problem playing into it, and he had no problem getting them behind him. So it totally worked. And as I said, a bold and risky move that ended up working out well. I mean, like you said, this was a good number. Over 1,300 fans in Korakuen. And this was a really good match. I was very impressed. So first of all, I want to say congratulations to Charlie Dempsey. And Nakajima is just on a fantastic run right now. If this continues and they keep going how they're going, this could be a Wrestler of the Year level run like we could see in All Japan
Definitely.
if this goes down, because he to me, and this is just me speaking now, I don't have any like inside info or data to back it up, but just for me as a fan, this is my favorite thing in wrestling right now. This run, just as, and again, I'm not even somebody who loves the gimmick itself as much as anybody, but the way he's doing it is so freaking good that I just am enthralled, and I can't wait to see what happens next with him.
Yes. You know what? I just realized I skipped over the Actress girls match on day 2.
Oh no, not that.
What did you
This is
think?
better than the first night, though.
Oh, it was,
was-
it was considerably better than the first night, I thought.
And maybe the fans just needed time for it a little bit, and they're still not
It
there.
was Koki and Chikago and Mirai Ono and Natsuki.
Yeah. I just think that when you look at this idea of bringing actors in, and everybody knows, well, I mean, maybe everybody doesn't know, but they had a relationship with them in the old days, but actors, they went through all of these changes,
Yeah.
like the company changed. There was this big split off with Beginning Pro and then Colors, and a bunch of people left, and then they said that they weren't wrestling anymore. They were entertainment. There's even a title they have that it's based on like the fans pretty much. Like they tell you that everything's a work, but the winner is decided by who it had the best performance, and they actively state that, which is why they don't work a lot with other Joshi companies.
Yeah.
Yappy from Ice Ribbon, she did like a stream when the new president of Ice Ribbon came in, and then somebody asked her about Ice Ribbon and Actress Girls, and she said that like they said that they're not real wrestling, so that prevents other people from wanting to work with them a lot. And which is a bold deal for All Japan to hop into bed with them. It's clear that the president, maybe Simon, whoever has their hands in this, I'm sure Suwama is happy to go about this.
I don't know though.
Uh,
I'm not sure
Whoever's behind it,
because
somebody has to
Ishikawa
want
is
it.
gone too, and
Yeah.
he was involved in Evolution. So I don't know.
Well, the fact is, somebody has to want it. They didn't just invade, and they couldn't stop them from wrestling on All Japan. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
someone had to bring them in from All Japan.
Yeah.
It was just a weird thing for them, and And with the evolution, that's an interesting talking point too. We didn't really even get into it that much. It's weird that they're putting a lot on these actress girls instead of evolution. Like I don't know. Like, what do you think the future of Evo girls is? Because I mean, it's only a couple of people at the end of the day. Like,
Well,
are they ready to just
they've got a new wrestler debuting in
set up
January.
to 3?
Back up to 3.
Yeah,
It's getting more bookings everywhere,
that's good too.
like Sunday and
Do you think do you think All Japan will use them more or
they
the actress
should.
girls more?
Well, the thing is, and because I was talking about this on the show, it's like, oh, All Japan's using the Joshi so well,
Yeah,
but also it's in part because A, some of them are Suwama's trainees, and B, they're
yeah,
using people like Mayumi Ozaki and Chihiro Hashimoto who are names.
yeah. Yuki
Yeah.
and so on. I personally think, from what I've seen, that Evo girls have more to offer than the people we've seen brought in from actress girls. With all due respect,
Yeah,
I
I
would
agree.
rather see more of them. Although I like Sumikawa on the
More
first night.
more zones, less Great Osaka.
Well, she had nothing to offer, but the other 3 were all right. Like,
Yeah, they
besides
were.
her, especially I think Sumikawa was the standout, and Matsui was all right as well. You can bring some of these people back. They showed they have some skill at least. It's
Oh
not
yeah, for
like
sure.
they were they were the complete bottom of the barrel people. Um, but Ken's here. Hi Ken. Oh, he just shut the door. Oh, okay. He's back from the doctor, so
Oh,
that's
that's
good
good.
news. Anyway, Sumikawa was good. The others have something to them. The Evo girls, I would like to see them because I really like Chi-Chi a lot. I love how
Mhm.
everybody was on Zone's bandwagon at first, but now everybody knows the OG Chi-Chi Respector that now comes out ahead once again with history respecting my point of view. Although I like Zones too, of course. Uh, I hope that I would love to see them make this a regular thing, but I just hope that they're not so infatuated with the actress girls that they
Yeah.
forget about Evo and just leave them out on the shelf pretty much.
Well, presumably Suwama would advocate for them, so hopefully.
Please, Suwama, we need you.
All right. So a couple of notes coming out of the show. Shotaro Ashino came out and challenged Nakajima, and that's going to happen on January 27th. And it was announced that Konosuke Takeshita is going to be working the January 27th show as well.
Hey,
Now, what
that's
do
my
you make?
birthday.
Oh,
And
well,
who better to bring in for my birthday? They knew the president, despite my slandering of him repeatedly, he knew what to get me for my birthday. And brought in Takeshita, and of course, this means that AEW is unquestionably taking over the company now that we have their one guy here.
yes, but I think it should also show you that like WWE does not have this kind of influence in the company that they could stop somebody
Well,
like Takeshita from
which
getting booked.
I knew all along.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, Takeshita, I mean, freaking awesome. Like I love him so much. One of the best in the world. AEW, he's stuck, as nameless goon number 3 in Don Callis' stable. But man, let me tell you, his match versus Darby Allin was a banger
I did
on
not see
Dynamite
it.
this week. Yeah, it was good stuff. He gave him a German suplex on the ramp. And Takeshita looked like a badass by the end. So it was like good rehab to start the year.
Did he
After
win?
a cut. Yeah, Takeshita did.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, he was awesome. Like it was a great match and he looked badass in it, like I said. Um, I don't know if he'll win next week because they're gonna do a tag match with Sting and Darby versus
Oh
Takeshita.
no.
Yeah, so you figure Sting's guys will win.
Yeah.
But still, Takeshita looked great in the match. It was an awesome match. So more Takeshita in my life, in all of our lives, is what we need. It's great to see him. And coming up, I mean, you saw what could happen. It can make even people change identities in DDT at times.
Well,
Having been there.
and did you see the other announcement regarding Takeshita?
Yeah, him versus Naya.
No, him versus Yuma.
Well, I know, but it said Yukio Naya on the,
Oh,
on the
right.
graphic.
Yes, it did. I
Yeah,
saw that graphic.
I love how I'm making these jokes. They're not connecting whatsoever. But no. Yes. I mean that match is amazing. I don't know why they put Naya's name on it over Yuma. These two men look literally nothing alike. And as wrestlers,
And that's going to be at Judgment in March.
Yeah,
Where is that
yeah.
show?
Oh, I don't know.
have to look this up. But
Yeah. It should
that
be that's one of
that's
their bigger shows. Like that's pretty much their second biggest show, second or third biggest of the year.
but I mean, Takeshita is winning that, right?
Yeah. I mean Tony Khan doesn't let his guys lose, so
Yeah.
yeah. And Yuma, I mean, again, it's something that I talked about, and I think nobody else did. I was the only one that even mentioned this, that I remember. Um, but it's something I didn't like, and I kind of got talked down a little bit when I brought it up. But I didn't like, again, this is another kind of quirk I have with the Nakajima thing. I really thought they screwed up how quickly, like, Aoyagi beating Kento should have been this huge moment for his
Right.
character and his story arc, and they just blew past it. And then they immediately took the title off him. It was a really rushed. I mean, the whole thing, it seems like with all of the disarray backstage and God knows who involved, it seems like there was a lot of rushed things going on. But he has been the one that suffered the most, I would say, in the last few months because he's a guy that he felt like a great ace-like character when he was the champion, and I think he's really taken some hits lately. Another loss could happen with Takeshita. I hope the carnival is when I look for him. I'm not like panicking or anything over it, but I just don't like how they handled it. I think he should have been given more respect on the way to losing the title than he got it. And I hope that the carnival, when that happens, they're able to use that to build him back up effectively.
Oh, so Judgment said Korakuen.
Okay, well, that's not even that big of a building. That's
I know.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It was a
and
rough year for DDT like this year. Maybe they took note of that.
yeah, and then he said he would like to eventually challenge for Ueno's belt. I mean, I just don't see Takeshita losing.
Why?
But like
Yeah.
Yuma having a run in DDT at the top is not a bad idea to keep him occupied instead of just meandering in multi-man
No, it's better than
tags.
what he's been doing. Like
Yeah.
for sure. If you do that. And that would help DDT. It gives you a legit guy like at the top of the card. You get a match with Akiyama you could play with in DDT.
Well, they briefly teased that and then they dropped it.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Wasn't that like last year?
That's
When
no, that's when last September
that was
when
just
Akiyama
yeah,
worked
last
on the
September.
show.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you're right, and that never went anywhere. So maybe they could call back to that then. DDT has some good wrestlers. They're not my favorite company, in all honesty. I don't think they're just the style is not that great up and down, but there are some singular guys that could really, if you could put together a string of matches for Yuma, he could have a run just as good as his Triple Crown run outside of the Kento match that obviously you can't, like, there's nobody like that in DDT. But they have some good workers. Ueno's one of them, like a really talented
Yep.
guy. I think Aoyagi would totally overshadow him, like in terms of charisma.
Oh,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. But Ueno's a good worker. I don't think he has what Aoyagi has. But they have some other guys. Hirashima, a legend in DDT. You could always put him in for the
We
match.
talked much about Higuchi on this show, obviously.
Oh yeah, well he's like the best one they could have. How great would it be if that could lead to him going into the carnival, which is what everybody always dreams of, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. See, so
So-
maybe that could be the bridge to that.
Well, see, the interesting thing is in that Tokyo Sports story, it said that All Japan had hurt its relationships with other companies. Now, I don't know what that really means, but you can see it from the whole like Noah and New Japan have disappeared and then they're working with DDT. Who will work with anyone?
Yeah, like we'll give any, and now we're working with actress girls, and we're not even going to tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
And everyone's gonna be like, "What the?" Yeah.
But
So
I have no, but here's the thing with the DDT relationship. It could be more like 50-50 than having to deal with like New Japan or something like that.
I think that they've done a really good job with the DDT and All Japan relationship right now.
I think so, too.
You had the Eruption team in the tag league. You had Rei Saito go into the DDT league. It looked really strong. They respected him a lot there. You could do a lot of different stuff with both sides. I think they've done, and it hasn't been like it's not like it's an invasion angle or something,
No.
where there's that it dominates the show and everyone's trying to fight them off. It's just a good, normal back and forth relationship. I think it's been pretty well done so far.
Mm-hmm. And well, we'll see where it goes because it could be pretty.
Yeah, it could get even more in depth if this continues with Aoyagi.
Yeah. So that will be the Aoyagis versus Takeshita and Hideki Okatani on the 27th. So I assume that's like Yuma's going to pin Okatani and then Takeshita's going to beat Yuma.
Yeah, I if my gut says that you're right on that, but you never know. I mean, they pulled a little bit of a swerve with the Aoyagi and Hayato and Toy Kojima thing on that show, so maybe they have something else in mind. I don't know,
I
but
mean, we
that
really
what you said
don't
is the one.
we don't really know because Takeshi is officially like a dual contract, so we don't know if Khan has veto power over what they do with him.
I
Like
suspect,
he lost to Jericho, but that's Jericho.
yeah, it's an AEW guy that he
Yeah.
lost to. I suspect that Takeshita will not do a job to any outsiders, but like you said, who
I
knows?
they
Maybe,
probably I bet you though that if they wanted to have Ueno finally beat him, they could do that or something. But
maybe.
you're not gonna get many, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe. My gut. I think the safe bet is to say he won't job to anybody. That's not an
Mhm.
AEW guy, but maybe he will. Again, we can't say for sure.
So the next show on the 14th is Masanobu Fuji's 50th anniversary and his 70th
Yay!
birthday party at Korakuen on Saturday or Sunday, January 14th. That will be airing at 11:30 a.m. Japan time. So it's something that you can watch live if you're like in North America at a reasonable hour. So we have the Royal Fuji Rumble, which will be Kento Miyahara, Yuma Aoyagi, Suwama, Shotaro Shino, Raiki Honda, Yuma Anzai, Minoru Suzuki, and Hideki Suzuki, presumably in a timed battle royale for the winner faces Fuji later in the show. Dylan, do you want to make any predictions about who is facing Fuji on this show?
Who could it be? Like, who's the logical
Kento?
choice? That would be fun. You could do something with Wada involved for that.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun. I think
I
that would be my pick, Kento.
I, my predictions are Kento, Yuma, but I think a couple dark horses are Hideki and Suzuki.
Wow, same name almost. They're both
Or
Suzuki's, but
Hideki and Minoru Suzuki.
yeah. No, I got you. I was just, yeah, no, yeah. That either of those would be fun, especially Minoru if they wanted to do that. That would probably be fun for Fuji.
Mhm.
I think it wouldn't be bad if it was one of the juniors.
Oh no,
Like
no,
that.
it's just those 8 guys.
Oh, it's just those 8 guys. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I still go with Kento, but I will never turn down any kind of Hideki match, especially versus Fuji. Like and even Minoru, they could do something with two stubborn old bastards that just
Yeah.
that just want to fight each other. I could get behind that.
And then 8-person tag, Hikaru Sato, Kotaro Suzuki, Fuminori Abe, and Koji Iwamoto versus Dan Tamura, Rising Hayato, Atsuki Aoyagi, and Ryo Inoue. Obviously, that's building up for that Iwamoto versus Tamura match, which still has not officially been announced, but that's clearly where they're going. And then we've got Black Mensure and Seiko Tachibana for the Gaora TV title, which I think could be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now this next match, Dylan, I think this was created to troll you. Because we've got Osamu Nishimura and Kuroshio Tokyo Japan teaming together versus Ren Ayabe and Naruki Doi.
What a random 4 people like to have in a match. Just a
Yeah,
total randomized match.
they just got to fill up the card.
Yeah,
People have left.
exactly. Yeah. Like we need somebody in this match. You guys come in. Should be interesting.
And then we've got the World Tag Team titles, obviously previously announced. The Saito brothers versus Katsuhiko Nakajima and Hokuto Omori. I think the Saitos need to win this. I just think it's too much overkill with Nakajima having both belts.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Like I said, I think that they're gonna do a breakup deal with Hokuto and Nakajima here,
Yeah.
and that'll set up a singles match.
I mean,
I don't think there's any reason to have them win the titles.
well, I mean, you got actually a pretty good spring because okay, so you're doing a Shino and Nakajima's gonna win. I mean,
yeah,
what it is.
or Ashita.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they do something, but it just felt like last year was his moment, and
Yeah,
now
it's
things have
sad.
changed so much that
Yeah.
you gotta go with Nakajima. That's like what's best for
Yeah.
business, right?
Yep.
But you've got Anzai and you've got Hokuto, and that could take you to the carnival.
Absolutely. And all of those are could be great
Because you got-
matches.
Carnival starts like second weekend of April, And so you got February, Anzai, and March, Hokuto.
Yep. Sounds perfect to me.
Yeah,
I see them flipping like Hokuto in February and Anzai in March
maybe.
as well.
Yeah, you could do
Yeah.
either for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Although I think if Hokuto eats the pin here, you kind of have to like build him back up a bit, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
big win.
yeah, you're right. Good point. Yeah.
But I think that's the most logical path to do to get you to the carnival. And, it doesn't burn too many big matches, right? I mean, look, I wouldn't be against if they just did a Suwama versus Nakajima match either.
That would be fine. Yeah.
Because that could probably do a decent number in Korakuen for sure, and everything like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, that's all Japan in a state of flux, both
Yeah.
sort of big problems, but also like doing some amazing things. It's a weird juxtaposition of situations. It could but the thing is, it could just go downhill so quickly given what's going on. So, Dylan, any final thoughts about this past week of all this wrestling?
A lot's happened.
Yeah.
In every company, I like this time of year because it shows you how they're setting up things for the future. Again, we talked about the Noah show. Say what you want about the main event, but they set up a lot of things for the future. And All Japan, they've done a great job for the most part. Again, there's some quibbles I have here and there, but still they're doing really good right
Like
now. They
Jiro?
feel he's definitely one of them, but that's not that big of a deal. That's an undercard act. Like I'm more disappointed with Yuma, like Aoyagi, than
Right.
Jiro nonsense. But they have a lot of good things going on. They haven't lost any kind of hotness because that's some of the things that I saw some people mention going into the Kento and Nakajima match. That show was that like they were wrecking everything and all of that, and it doesn't seem like it's made any difference really. Like overall for the fans in Japan, there was a little strife here and there, but for the most part, it seems like they're still rolling. Nakajima totally fascinating as champion, and I can't wait to see where they're going. Glate even had a new champion. We talked about that at the start of the show. So all things are kind of like the page has been turned from what they were doing last year, and now we're moving on to the next chapter this year. And I think all the companies pretty much have done a good job of that in Japan for this very quick time period. And there's still a lot of the year left to go. So I can't wait to see where it goes in the future.
And have you watched the Tokyo Dome?
I have.
So, taking everything into account you've watched from Japan since the 31st, what's the best match? Because I think you've watched more than I have.
Kento and Nakajima.
You think it was better than Okada and Danielson?
That's close.
Because that's what I heard was the best on the Dome, and that's not surprising.
That was the best. Yeah, like that was definitely the best match in my opinion. I didn't think the Dome was that great. The main event is gonna like heavily sway on your feelings on Lij lore and all that.
Yeah.
Like how if you're super invested in that, then I'm sure you loved it. But for me, that didn't hit for me. Although I will say the post match was excellent. Like one of the best moments of that I can remember for both men. Actually, I would say the post match was great. The match didn't really do it for me. Brian Okada was like amazing. I might go with that actually. Over the Kento Nakajima. I'm trying to. I mean, the triple threat was chaotic. I didn't think that was a great match, but it was fun. I would say, like by the end, it was like everybody worked hard and all of that. There's make sure to watch the junior tag match for TJ's new gimmick that he has. Highly recommend it.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what are the chances that he actually believes that thing exists?
Oh, TJ.
He does.
I don't know. I'm not going to speak for this man. I will say that I have a lot of love for the Philippines in general as a country and their culture. I have a great history with a lot of people from there. So I like the reference, although I don't know. I can't speak for TJ Perkins on that, but it's a very funny thing to watch, at least a very funny gif. But yeah, I'll go with Brian and Okada. But I thought the Kento and Nakajima match is right up there. Like it's very close. I think you can go either way. And I thought like the thing that I would say that might sway me towards the Nakajima match was that ultimately the stakes were higher with the title on the line and the feud they had. Although they made, like, I thought Brian did a great job of really emphasizing what happened in the Forbidden Door match and playing that into the match. And then the moment at the end was another great thing that we had as well. A lot of great wrestling going on right now in all the companies. I think every place you go, maybe the whole show is not going to hit for everybody, but pretty much every company has at least something that will grab you a little bit right now. And I think that's a good thing. Even Noah, I would say, going forward. I think Noah, All Japan, New Japan, Glade, Stardom, had their big show. I just posted a review of that on the Patreon. I mean, Sandre did. So, they've got things moving forward as well. Lots of great stuff going on as the year rolls over. And I think that's the best we can hope for as fans.
I heard TJPW show was good, and that Yamashita and Slamovich was also really good. But I haven't got a chance to watch that yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet either, but I'm looking forward to it. I think both of and that'll obviously be on Wrestle Universe as well, to all the Noah fans out there. You can watch that real easy if you get it. But I think Yamashita is amazing, like the best worker in TGP to me. All the they've got some people that are up there, but to me she's the best one, in my opinion. Tatsumi's close though, I will say, but I also heard Rina Yamashita's match was really good as well. So we'll see, depending on your stylistic taste. We'll see what happens. So yeah, good shows all around. Another company there. You point 6, 7, 8 companies deep that did some cool things going forward. So really looking forward to the future and 2024 in wrestling and in life. And of course, all the stuff you guys are doing here on the Emerald Flow Show as well.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dylan. And got any plugs? Because I know you've got a lot.
Please vote on the awards on Eastern Lariat. Go to the Twitter, go to the Instagram. Follow us on Instagram too. I do a lot of stuff on there. And I have some deep cuts. Every day I try to put a different historical fact from ProRes on there. Like I said, I've gone deep into some fun things in the past. Sometimes I wish people birthdays. Sometimes I shouted out certain people for things. I don't want to spoil anything on the Dome. I almost did a second ago. I did a thing on Riho's sister, who wrestled like when she first came in, like 2008, in there, Liger and Dragon Gate, all kinds of stuff going on there. So follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Please vote in the awards. We have all kinds of awards votes. We want to make them the biggest ever and want to make the awards really mean a lot for fans of Japanese wrestling. So please vote on those. Wrestle Update I do with Nello. He's on Post Wrestling sometimes as a writer, but he's always on with me. We're about to have our own award show there. No votes on that, just me and him talking about the best of American wrestling coming up. Crazy categories. It's a little bit lighter with him than Eastern Lariat is with me and Striga. Lucha Talk will have a new episode soon. Dramatic Dream Dragons talking about Dragon Gate and DDT. We'll have a new episode soon. All fun stuff going on there. But most importantly, please vote on the awards. I'll go on the Discord and try and post it there, so you can easily find it as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea for sure. All right, Dylan, once again, thank you so much. I always appreciate it when you come on.
I appreciate you wanting me on. I always have a fun time talking to you. Hopefully the fans enjoy it as well.
All right, so we'll be back in probably about 2 weeks because we've got the big Fuchi anniversary show, and then we've got the 2 big Noah shows on the 13th and the 17th with some really interesting looking matches. So, and I think Paul will be back by then, and we'll get another report on his time in Japan. And I forgot to ask him if he shook Fukuda's hand or not.
Yeah.
So we could find out how that went and if it happened.
The big scoop there. Did he big time the president?
I don't know.
Next time to find out.
All right, so we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Hello there, my name's Neil David and I'm the host of Eurograps Express, the podcast exclusively dedicated to the wrestling of Europe. If it's wrestling and it happens in Europe and it's good, we talk about it. Whether it's Rev Pro, Progress, WXW, Passion Pro, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Pro Wrestling North, we don't care, we talk about them all. If it's good and it's exciting, I want to share it with you. We're on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Check us out on the feed, check us out on Twitter at EuroGrapsEXP. and join us for chat about European wrestling and a little bit of chat about cheese. Hopefully see you there.